ready for the fight. Noble hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it white. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace. Locked on Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. In the city, where the road meets the night, the Lions charge, ready for the fight. Noble hearts and steadfast pride. Detroit spirit, we wear it white. Feel the drive, hear the crowds embrace. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. With every game, we rise and unite. Fueling the passion, igniting the light. Through highs and lows, we'll stand as one. A legacy, a tale that's just begun. Together we roar. Together we cry. Rocked on, Detroit Lions will rise. With a heart full of dreams and the fire in our eyes. From the past to the future, we'll claim our own. In the home of the brave, we'll proudly have grown. So let's lift our voices. Let's turn it up loud. For the love of the Lions, we'll always be proud.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Wow. What a night last night was, man. A long time, and I forgot to update the ticker. But anyway, what a long time on air yesterday. Starting from the morning show to the afternoon busted mock and into the draft for several hours. A long day. Enjoyed it. Thankful to everybody that showed up last night. And we'll get to jersey winners. I'll probably just do them all on Saturday. But as you guys enter into the room and stay into the room, the bot has given parameters as to how to pick a winner. And so at the end of the night, there's a winner that's chosen, and I'll let you guys know all those on Saturday when we're done, or Sunday or something. I'll do a video who won the jerseys. So make sure you guys get in tonight and tell your friends. You don't have to pay to get in. You don't have to pay to win. You just got to be in and hang out with us and have some fun. But last night was a wild-ass night of trades, and we kind of expected some trades. Every year there's been some trades, but I don't know the volume of trades were expected last night. And so I'm going to break all that down this morning. Obviously, we're going to talk about Blake Miller and what that means for Detroit, and we'll probably have an opportunity to go back and listen to Brad Holmes again. So either you love it or you hate it. I think that's the kind of pick that Blake Miller is. And I think both Eric and I are kind of on the same plane here, that it was anybody but Monroe Freeling, and it must have been an offensive tackle or a safety for me at least, that made sense in round one. We didn't get Caden Proctor, unfortunately, and there's really no way, that you could ever really say that you could have had him or should have had him or should have moved up. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. But going at 11, I had Proctor going as early as 6. And I don't think that Brad Holmes was going to be able to do it, and I don't think he was ever going to have the draft capital to do it. And I'm going to explain that today as I've broken down every trade, all of the trade values, and we'll discuss it. So good morning to everybody. I appreciate you guys joining us this morning. Let's get off and running. We'll be right back, and we'll bring Eric in. I'm pretty sure he's still back there. Yeah, he's still back there. All right, be right back.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
Good morning, man. Long time no see. How are you?
Yeah, real long.
Got a little sleep anyway. Did you get your beauty sleep?
Nope.
No, I didn't either, man. I was up staring at the ceiling till like 2:00 in the morning because apparently I had one too many Cokes last night. I had one, and it made me stay awake. So it was kind of rough, but I ended up getting some things done for the show at least.
Yeah, I got some business stuff done last night. I had 2 giant orders come in, so I was doing that till 2:30 in the morning. And as soon as I get off the show today, be doing the same thing until we get back on the show this evening. I'm not going to get a nap in, nothing today. So tomorrow I'll be nice and tired for the whole day.
Well, my OBS just decided to get hung up at the top of my screen, and
Oh, great.
I don't know what to do now. I've never seen this happen. And I can't close it because if I close it, then I'm in trouble.
Oh, they say Rocked On Podcast Network, your mic is incredibly low on YouTube.
Oh, shoot.
So make sure you're...
It shouldn't be. I double-checked everything. Hold on.
At least it's your mic and not mine all the time now. It was always mine before.
I wonder if we have something open still.
Some incredible content we're putting out this morning.
Yeah, hold on, man. Look, I'm dead ass tired.
We'll get you laughing anyway.
Oh, yeah, it's way low. There we go.
Oh, there you are.
There we
Hey,
go.
I can hear Will again.
I was making some adjustments, so I must have flicked it. The wrong way. At least I didn't hit the faders, though. All right, so we're good. Anyway, good morning. Welcome into the Rise and Grind Morning Show. It is day one after day one. And what a night it was last night. I mean, we're going to talk about off the cuff 5 winners, 5 losers. I didn't prepare this with Eric, so his reactions are going to be raw. But I have some
my
ideas.
biggest loser.
What's that?
I have my biggest loser. That's I know who number 1 is in that list.
I don't know that if I really have a definitive.
That's easy.
But we'll find out. First, I want to talk about this, man. I want to just start at the very, very top of everything that I put together at 2:00 in the morning. So hopefully it still makes sense the way I wrote it. Hopefully it still makes sense. First, let's start with the Las Vegas Raiders. Look, this is a franchise that kind of flipped the tone of the draft by knowing we knew who the quarterback was going to be. We knew who the first pick was going to be. And last night, they stuck their pick. They went with Fernando Mendoza. And I've said it many, many, many times, and I'm going to say it again. I don't think it was the right choice. I really don't. I think that Fernando Mendoza is as goofy as all get out, and that's fine. I mean, we've always talked about having to be a little bit or a lot of bit of nerd to be a great quarterback in the NFL, and I will always believe in that. And it's not like I'm using the word nerd like loosely. It's just about how they process and their attention to detail and the type of work that you have to do as a quarterback. You don't need to be like just some big stud athlete. It's the high processors like Jared Goff or like Tom Brady was a high processor that tend to do a lot better in the NFL than players that are just all body, just all athlete, no brains, the old adage. So what I'm thinking here is the year of sitting behind Kirk Cousins is going to be extremely important for him. And that's what's going to set his future. So I'm hoping that he turns out to be a better quarterback than what I'm thinking, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that 1 year of production at Indiana would never be enough for me. He had 2 apathetic years at Cal, and I don't see this love that the Raiders do. I mean, obviously they have a lot more intel than we'll ever have, but I don't see it. I don't understand the pick. But then again, you look at this draft, and this was just one of the most awkward drafts I've ever watched. It was very awkward. Nothing made sense, and The players that I thought were going to slip, slipped. I'm glad that happened. I'm glad I got that projection right. Everybody's mock blew up at pick 6, and that's okay. I think I still called 10 or 11 or 12 right during the show. That's probably my worst ever, but it is what it is. So I told you guys from the get-go, I don't think I'm going to get any right in this one. And that's because one player, one choice, one pick, one team can blow it all up, and that's what happened. So what is your thoughts on the Fernando Mendoza pick to the Raiders?
It was expected. That's it. They took positional need over anything, and they only took him because there was no one better. There was no other quarterback that was better. I don't think Ty Simpson was better than him.
Watch Ty Simpson be better than him, though.
Well, he probably will be. He's going to a better situation. He's going to sit behind one of the all-time best quarterbacks to ever lace him up in Matt Stafford. He's going to have Sean McVay and that staff there that knows how to get the best out of a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They took Matt Stafford from being a great quarterback into being an absolute Super Bowl winner. A Super Bowl winner.
Yeah.
In one season. So
I don't know that that's McVay. I mean, that's all Stafford. I mean, I think that it was chance, right? It was a lot of chance built into that opportunity. It was the right timing. It was also, look at the schedule that the Rams had that year. There was a lot that went into that season, and I don't know that everyone really gives a lot of credit to Matthew Stafford for that season as much as they should. But what were they? Where did they finish in 2020? What was wasn't their schedule third or fourth worst in the league that year? I think it was. Sure. But to your point, yes, Matthew Stafford is one of the best quarterbacks ever, and I think that is the driving factor for Ty Simpson. I don't think it's Sean McVay. I don't think it's the Rams. I don't think it's Snead. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's Matthew Stafford and being able to pull everything you can out of Matthew Stafford, over the next year or two, however long that is, that Matthew Stafford, decides to play. But now looking back at it, Sean McVay said during Pro Days or Combine, where he said Matthew Stafford could probably play into his 40s. Clearly that he laid out a big smoke trail. They were going to take Ty Simpson if they had a chance. I'm surprised they didn't move back and then take Ty Simpson, but I think Ty Simpson was probably gone at pick 21. Really, I guess to kind of kick things off, my opening statement, I didn't even read my opening statement of the day. Here's the opening statement. Round 1. Delivered 32 picks. Let me start over here. I keep forgetting I got to switch screens, and I never do. All right, so last night's 2026 NFL Draft in the first round delivered 32 picks, 8 draft night trades, and one huge surprise at quarterback, which we were just talking about. The Raiders opened the night by taking Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza at number 1, but the pick that changed the tone of that round was the Rams, and that was taking Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson at number 13. Not even having to make a trade. They didn't trade back. They didn't trade up. They stuck. They picked. They took the QB of the future for the Rams. The Jets finished the night with 3 first-round picks. The Chiefs were aggressive early and late. And then the Bills traded out of the round entirely. Detroit stuck the pick. We didn't have to move. Maybe we should have, but we landed Clemson offensive tackle Blake Miller at number 17. Now, the biggest winner for me, Eric, in this whole thing last night, honestly, could have been or might be the Buffalo Bills in how they navigated multiple trades to stack some extra capital for later. So I think they're going to be one of my bigger winners of the night. When you think about the quick opening statement, Ty Simpson was the biggest surprise. The Jets, they just completely reset their future from a first round perspective. In looking at what the Jets did, they are my biggest winner of the night. The Bills are my biggest winner in the trades and what they're able to do for their future and their future draft capital. But I think the Jets cleaned house last night.
Yeah, I listen. the Jets got 3 first-rounders. They got David Bailey, they got Sadiq, and then they come back up near the bottom and they get Omar Cooper Jr. I mean, 3 of the best players at their position in the draft. Dude, if the Jets don't put it together, if they can't get it together soon, then maybe it is the coaching staff and not.
They've only had one year.
Not
They've had 1 year. Now you got a bunch of rookies. So I'm not going to put all that on Aaron Glenn. But I did say last year, and everyone thought I was nuts, as usual, the Jets were going to compete within 2 years. They're going to compete this year. The Jets will be in the playoffs. I said that a month ago. I'm going to stick with it. The Jets will be in the playoffs. They may not go far in the playoffs, but playing in a 4th place schedule with an Aaron Glenn defense and the players that they just added that team, I see 2023 Lions written all over it potentially.
Yep.
You could see a team go from worst to first in a hurry and go deep in the playoffs.
Yes. I'll tell you, though, my biggest winner isn't the Jets. My biggest winner is the Miami Dolphins. Miami Dolphins moved off their picks. They ended up trading back, and they got the player we wanted. They got Caden Proctor, and then they turned around and came back, and they got Caden Proctor at number 12 with a trade, moving 1 pick with the Dallas Cowboys and picking up 2 extra 5th rounders. And then they do it again, and they come back at 27, and I don't remember how they ended up at 27. I know it was a trade.
I'll tell you in a minute, yeah.
Let's see. It was a trade from San Francisco. And so they end up going and moving back up to 27 and taking the cornerback out of San Diego State, Chris Johnson. So they got the top-rated or second-rated cornerback in the entire draft, and they got the first or second-rated offensive tackle in the entire draft. I think they stole the draft last night, and they picked up 2 5ths. Man,
yeah, I would disagree with that, but that's your take. That's your take. I don't think they stole the draft at all last night. But.
I think Miami killed it last night with what they had. If we ended up with Caden Proctor and Chris Johnson last night out of this draft, I would have been ecstatic.
So I'm gonna run it down. 1-32 Raiders, Fernando Mendoza. Jets, David Bailey. Cardinals, Jeremiah Love. Titans, Carnell Tate. In no moves. Giants, no moves. Arvell Reese. Chiefs moved up from 9 to 6, and this is when everything changed. They moved up with the Browns. They ended up taking Mansour Delane. The Commanders, they stuck the pick with Sonny Styles. The Saints, they stuck the pick with Jordan Tyson. The Browns at 9 now with the move back from the Chiefs. They took the first offensive lineman off the board in Spencer Fano. The Giants moved up. The Giants acquired number 10 from the Bengals trade. They took Francis Maui Noah. Cowboys at pick 11. They traded with the Dolphins, moving up from 12. And they took Caleb Downs. The Dolphins at pick 12 took Caden Proctor. You know, I would say that right there, maybe the Cowboys thought that the Dolphins were going to take Caleb Downs, but the fact they even made the trade tells you they weren't. The Rams took Ty Simpson at 13. The Ravens, Olavavega Nioni. The Buccaneers, Reuben Bain. The Jets, Kenyon Sadiq. The Lions, Blake Miller. Vikings, Caleb Banks. Panthers, Monroe Freeling. The Eagles, from the Cowboys, Makai Lemon at pick 20. The Steelers at 21, they stuck to pick with Max Ahanachor. The Chargers, Akeem Messidor. The Cowboys from the Eagles, Malachi Lawrence. The Browns at pick 24, KC Concepcion. And the Bears, they didn't move. They didn't do anything. They stuck to pick at 25 with Dylan Thieneman. 26, the Texans from the Bills. They took Keelan Rutledge, which that was a big surprise. That's probably one of my bigger surprises of the night. Patriots at 28 took Caleb Lomu. The Chiefs took Peter Woods. The Jets, again, from the Broncos via the Dolphins and then through the 49ers, Omar Cooper Jr. Then the Titans at 31 from the Patriots via the Bills took Keldrick Falk. It's a hell of a pick. And then the Seahawks, Jadarian Price, running back Notre Dame. That rounds out round 1. Now, with all that, if you were to rank the top 5 winners,
Okay.
you just give me the top 5 teams, no explanation needed. Just go the top 5 teams
Sure.
that you think that won.
That one?
Yep.
Okay. Number 1, the Miami Dolphins. Number 2, the Jets. Number 3, the Eagles. Number 4, the Seahawks. And number 5, the Detroit Lions.
The Lions. All right, give me those numbers again. Or give me those again. So it's Dolphins?
Dolphins, Jets, Eagles, Seahawks, Lions.
So the Seahawks for taking Price?
Yep. For taking Jadarian Price. I think that was a really good value right there. At the end of the first round, they get a 5th-year option on the kid. I just think it was the perfect spot to take him. They didn't move off their pick. They did the stick and pick, and it worked out for them. He's going to be a great pro. They don't have a whole lot of picks. They only have, 4 picks total in this draft?
I believe so, yeah.
And listen, the Seahawks, they need a running back like you wouldn't believe. They lost both their running backs. So it's time. They needed one. And the way you talked about Jadarian Price, the way everyone talked about him leading up to this draft and talking about his tape and how good he is.
He's special, man.
And how good he could have been if he had not been behind Jeremiah Love.
That's the key. That's the key to unlock it all. Like, he was behind Jeremiah Love, and that, I mean, what a place to be, right? And he still was pretty damn successful. But I think that he's a unknown commodity right now. Jadarian Price could surprise the hell out of everybody, and he could be, I mean, near as good as what Jeremiah Love. He doesn't have the speed, right? He doesn't have the flexibility, but I believe that there's a lot to his game that is not known right now. And I think it's going to be fun to watch, to see who he develops into. Right now he's just a rosebud. We'll see what happens over the next year or two and see how he develops. So, upon reviewing all of this, I'm going to give you a different set of 5 winners and losers just based on trades alone.
Yes.
Okay, just based on trades alone. The top 5 winners from a trade perspective, I mean, I would still put the Bills in, but this is strictly based on numbers. Titans, they ended up gaining 50 points. The Tennessee got the biggest chart edge of the night in their move from 31 for Keldrick Falk, and this is according to the Rich Hill chart, which is what I use. That was the best value deal on the board. The Browns, Cleveland moved down from number 6 to 9 with Kansas City. And then they came out ahead on the chart and still landed Spencer Fano before later taking KC Concepcion at 24. So that was a hell of a move. The Cowboys, even though they paid a very small premium, they moved up 1 spot to get Caleb Downs. And I think a lot of people, I mean, I mentioned before the show, I thought that there was a potential that Caleb could slip out of the top 10. It was, rare to think that was even possible, but I thought it would be possible. The fact that the Cowboys are sitting there at 12 and they're thinking, man, I can move up for 2/5 and go get this guy. It's a weird trade to me, because if the Dolphins were receptive of it, which they were, why make the trade? Like, they clearly weren't going to take the guy. But anyway, they made it all the way back and more when Philadelphia moved up for Mekhi Lemon, and that's the trade that kind of reset again what the Cowboys were doing, because they give up 2/5, and then they came out clearly ahead after that trade with Philadelphia. Then you had the Jets at number 4, were +8. The Jets moved back into the first round for Omar Cooper Jr., was actually favorable by the chart, and they got picked 30 for less than the Rich Hill value than what they gave away, which was nuts to me. Last night I kept saying early in the rounds, you're going to have more expensive trades Later in the rounds, you're going to have less expensive trades because the talent just drops off like a cliff. And then you had the 49ers. San Francisco came out just barely positive overall. They gained value in the deal with Miami, but then they gave a little bit back in the trade with the Jets, but still finished on the plus side of things. So those are your 5 winners from a trade perspective that ended up positive on the night. Titans, Browns, Cowboys, Jets, and then 49ers at number 5. The bottom 5 losers. Now, I feel the Bills did a phenomenal job in navigating their draft capital last night. But they were actually the biggest loser of the night when it came to draft pick value. The Buffalo Bills were the biggest cumulative loser by chart value. They won the Texans deal, they edged the Patriots deal, and then they gave back a massive amount in the Titans move that pushed them out of round 1. And when we get to that, when I looked at it again this morning, I'm like, what the hell did they just do? The Texans at minus 22, they paid a notable premium to move up for Keelan Rutledge and then get back number 91, and that is probably the second biggest negative on the board by chart value. Why they moved up to get Keelan Rutledge is beyond me. Where did we all miss on Keelan Rutledge being like this premier guard, that someone needed to go get that early in the first round? I'm going to have to go back and rewatch a whole lot of tape on this guy because that one makes 0 sense. And then it could be because of where their picks line up, and I'd have to look at that too. The Eagles at number 3, minus 20 on the night. Philadelphia paid up to go get Mekhi Lemon at number 20, and it was the third biggest chart overpay of the night, even before you get into whether the player even justified it. He was free-falling. I don't think you needed to move 3 spots to get Mekhi Lemon. I really don't. Then the Chiefs at number 4, minus 18 on the night. Kansas City paid a meaningful premium to go get Mansour Delane at number 6, and it was an aggressive kind of go-get-your-guy move. But the chart says Cleveland won the deal. The Dolphins, last but not least, number 5 at minus 5. Miami came out slightly underwater overall. They gained a little moving back with Dallas, and then they lost more moving up with San Francisco for Chris Johnson. Chris Johnson he might be one of the plays of the night, so I do agree with you there. I felt that Chris Johnson was going to have an opportunity to move up into the first round, and he did. That is going to be a more interesting pick to follow. Year 2, year 3, I think Chris Johnson is going to surprise the hell out of everybody. So biggest winners, Titans, Browns, Cowboys, Jets, 49ers. Biggest losers, Bills, Texans, Eagles, Chiefs, Dolphins. And that's just trade value perspective. That is not who they picked up or anything else. The chart says Tennessee got the steal of the night. Buffalo paid the biggest cumulative price. And Cleveland quietly won the Chiefs trade while still getting 2 offensive starters in round 1. Beyond that,
I do have to disagree with you on one thing.
go for it. Please do.
Okay. So you were talking about the Eagles trade with Dallas. The Eagles pulled off a trade with Dallas, their hated rival in the division. They pulled off a trade to move up 3 spots, and they ended up taking Mekhi Lemon.
Yeah, you realize this is not about trade. This is about trade value.
Yes. But you said that they didn't need to move up 3 spots to take Mekhi Lemon. Well,
No.
yes, they did, because Mekhi Lemon was on the phone with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Eagles were trying to call him and to tell him he was the pick, and they couldn't get through because he was on the phone with the Steelers, who were going to take him at 21.
Okay.
With the very next pick. So it's already been confirmed that they had to move up or they were not getting Mekhi Lemon. So that's why I had them as one of my winners, because they did it in division, something that's typically harder to do than doing it with, say, someone from the AFC. So that's why I put it as a win. And they did it with the pick that was originally the Green Bay Packers.
So I read that whole thing as Mekhi Lemon was not answering the phone, and that's why the Eagles moved up.
No, he was on the phone with the Steelers. Because I saw that, I think, from Ian Rappaport even. He had a big thing on it.
Let me go back to it. Let me find it.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of Steeler fans that were just pissed that the Eagles moved up
They
and
probably
got 'em.
just saved themselves, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they did. Yeah,
I don't think Mekhi Lemon is going to be the guy that people think he is.
but I think Mekhi Lemon is a much better fit with the Eagles than he is with the Steelers. The Steelers don't have a quarterback. They have Howell. So they might be tanking for next year since they don't have a coach that always goes 9-8 every season.
So I'm reading this a different way. Maybe it's just me, but see, I'm reading it as if.
Well, I listened to it. I'm
reading it, and I have it right here. So I'm reading all the quotes, but it says, in the end, Rappaport said on the NFL Network that the Eagles do the trade. They get Mekhi Lemon, and the Steelers grab a tackle right after. And so the way I read it last night, which, I mean, you're exhausted, but the way I read it last night is that the Steelers were trying to call him.
Yeah.
The Eagles were making the trade already to move up to get him, and we're trying to call him to tell him they're taking him right there at 20.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I read it. I didn't read it that because he was on the phone that they had to make a move to go get him at 20. I read it as if they were already making the deal to go get him at 20 and trying to call him to let him know that, hey, we just made a move for you at 20.
That's correct. But if they don't take him at 20, I think the Steelers take him at 21.
Well,
I think the Steelers wanted to.
They absolutely could have. And I mean, the Steelers were open and saying that they liked him as well. But
yeah,
you know, who knows? They took Max Ahanichor. How do you go from Mekhi Lemon to Max Ahanichor?
I think it's a better. I think it's a better pick.
I think so too.
I think the Steelers lucked out that happened to them because I think Max Ahanichor is going to be a better pro than Mekhi Lemon.
And who was at 22?
22 is Akeem Messidor.
No. It was Miami, right?
22 was the Chargers.
Or the Chargers, and they took Christian Miller, which
Akeem Messidor went at 22.
Hold on. I'm on the wrong page.
Yeah,
I'm in my prediction page. Oh, keep going. There we go. Prediction page is wrong.
Wide awake this morning.
They took Akeem Messidor. All right, so let me get back into this. Every round one trade. I think you're going to find some things interesting in here. So the biggest conversation with Lions fans right now is why didn't the Lions move up to get a different player, right? The other major meltdown that's going on is, oh, my God, we didn't get an edge. Oh, my God.
Well, they're going to be really mad today because I don't think it's going to happen tonight either.
We didn't get it. We didn't get a tier 2 edge to come in and be better than DJ Wanham and Peyton Turner, guys that have already played in the league, guys that you know what they are, and can be better in a system that maybe is better suited for them, that has better players around them. I think that we can all agree that the Saints suck. And so, you're taking a player from a team that was terrible. You can't discredit just the player. You need to look at the whole picture. Right? Injuries aside, you need to look at the whole picture. And then where did DJ Wanham come from? The Panthers, I believe?
Yes.
And so the Panthers, I mean, how good is their defense in 2025 or even in 2024?
Let's look it up. So Fox defensive rankings.
Are you going to go to the Fox rankings?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Fox.
So he played with the Panthers. The Panthers the last two seasons. The Panthers. In 2024 and 2025.
Overall, the Panthers were 16th and gave up 327 yards per game. In the playoffs, they gave up a 411. They allowed 42 touchdowns. and 4 touchdowns in their one playoff game.
I mean, that's terrible, right?
Yep.
So the Panthers last year were 16th rated overall, so they're right smack dab in the middle of it all. But what were they? What were they the year before?
And they were 2 spots ahead of the Lions.
What were they the year before? And
Let's
they were 2
see.
spots ahead of the Lions, and the Lions played terribly.
Yes.
With our secondary, so that should tell you something, right? So I'm not going to blame just the player. You have to blame the system too that they're in, and so you want to take an edge just because there's a lot of edge available. But ask the question: is Keldrick Falk better than Peyton Turner? Is Keldrick Falk better than DJ Wanham? Different position. Was there any outside linebackers that were left at pick 17? I don't think so. I mean, what other outside linebackers were left last night? None. You would have been taking a middle linebacker in C.J. Allen, and a middle linebacker is not going to help you. I mean, he's not a pass rusher. So when you look at, let me get the SIS board. When you look at the draft matrix of all the players that are still available and the players that were available when the Lions were picking, they could have had Keldrick Falk or TJ Parker or Cassius Howell or Gabe Yakis or Mason Thomas or Romello Height. And all of those players are rated as potential starters. Potential. We already know that DJ Wanham is a starter. Okay, so you could have taken C.J. Allen last night, a middle linebacker. That's not going to fix it. The next best player is Anthony Hill Jr. And if you're telling me that you're going to take Anthony Hill Jr. in the first round, I'm sorry. I'm going to pull an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Learn football. Because that is nowhere near reality. Nowhere near reality. Then Jacob Rodriguez, nowhere near a first-round pick. And he's even less rated than Anthony Hill. Doesn't mean that he's a worse player. I think that Rodriguez actually could be a better player initially than Hill, but I think Hill over time with his agility and ability will be better as long as the tools come together. So last night, if you're looking for an edge, like there's not an edge available in this class that is going to be any better than what you already have on the team. You already have Aiden. You have Wanham, proven commodity, and Peyton Turner, who has yet to really scratch the itch for himself, man. He needs to blossom this year and stay on the field. And if he does, you have a wrecking ball in Turner, a complete wrecking ball. And so I'm excited about both of those players. Now, for the second round, does it mean that we go after an edge in the second round? You were just saying, Eric, that you don't think so. Why don't you think so?
I think we're going to go after safety or corner first. There's better options. So you still have Jermod McCoy. You have Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I mean, heck, we could go after Caden McDonald. He's available still.
Yeah, he's going to be gone early, I think.
And right now, the edges you're looking at are TJ Parker, Cassius Howell, Zion Young, R. Mason Thomas, and Gabe Jacobs, or Yakis, however you say his name. So, I mean, that's the 5 edge you got left. I'll pass. My second round pick, I'm taking a corner or a safety. That's just me. You got Avion Terrell still there. You got Colton Hood still there. Jermod McCoy, if you want to take a chance on a flyer.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a moment. As far as the edge goes, let me just bury this topic because I'm not going to spend all day on it.
Yeah.
Edge is not the answer. Edge is it's not. Oh, I forgot that's someone in the chat too.
Is he in the chat?
I don't
today?
know, but edge is not the answer. It's never been the answer. Edge is not going to fix your defense. The Lions struggle on defense when their secondary is bad. Our secondary has been bad because of injury. And when your secondary is good, it really makes your defensive ends and your front four all look extremely good, right? You get a lot more coverage sacks, which is part of the game. Like that's how every team operates. You provide coverage sacks. You provide coverage time. In a league where the ball comes out in under 2.6 seconds, maybe 1% of the defensive ends will ever get to a quarterback in under 2.6 seconds. It is extremely rare. It just doesn't happen. Even a quick pressure under 2.5 seconds is even rare in today's game. I go by the old school metrics mixed with a little bit of the new nuance of metrics, and it's because it's so muddy and cloudy with everything that all of these analytic companies have added. They've gone away from what football really is. To win a rep and to win a rep early, there's things that have to happen. And when you have 20 different ways of counting a pressure, you've diluted the meaning of a pressure. A true pressure is really under 2.5 seconds. It is not this 2.75 now that it is, or 3 seconds now. That is not a true pressure. If you're getting true pressure on a quarterback, it's happening now. It's not happening at 3 seconds when they've already thought about throwing the football 4 times. It's happening now. It's happening off the jump, and you're winning your rep early in engagement, not going all the way around the quarterback and coming around the other side at 4 seconds, Aiden Hutchinson. That is not a pressure. That is just delayed ignorance, in my opinion. I want to see quick pressure. How do you get quick pressure? Well, if you have a good front four that is able to win their reps with their one-on-ones, you then free up the linebackers. That is how you're going to get the quickest pressure. Or you're going to send your safety or your corner or your nickel. That is how you're going to get the quicker pressure. Or the sack, right? And create on the play. And that's what the Lions need to do this year. They need to be more diverse in their rush package and not worry just about Aiden. Right? Aiden is not the answer either. He's part of the answer. He's part of the equation. But the answer in the NFL now is the 3 safety look, and it's using the safeties to spread the field, and then you rush from wherever, right? You want to be multiple, and you want to be diversified in your rush package. And the Lions have not been. They have been doing the same thing, game in, game out, with very little uniqueness, if you will, of the rush plan. And that has to change this year. And once it does, Aiden will actually be more dominant in his position when you start to rush from different angles. So adding an edge this year would have never been the answer. Why? Because there's David Bailey and then a potential Arvell Reese. And beyond that, there's really no true rush end in this class that is in the first round or even really into the second round that doesn't have polywog arms. All right, we've moved on from T-Rex. It's gotten even worse now. So I'm good on the short arm bandits. Like, we need guys that have length, strength, and power. We need guys that can actually bend the corner and then flatten their trajectory to the quarterback. Not fight and hand fight and then can't disengage because they're like this. Can't do it. So I'm glad that we didn't waste a pick on a what if. We brought in Blake Miller, who is a proven commodity on the offensive line, and we'll talk about him in a little bit. But he's somebody that has been an Ironman, right? 50-plus games in a row, and he plays pretty damn sound football. I don't necessarily believe in all the other hype, and we'll talk about the exploring the trade to move up when we get to Blake Miller. I'll write something down here. So moving into the second round, let's talk about some trades last night, because the second round, I think, is going to be critical for a trade. If you're looking at getting a player that can move the needle, right? It doesn't matter, where. Using the Rich Hill formula that I do, the trade value exchanged on day one, it didn't vary a whole lot. It really didn't. It was everything that I thought it was going to be, and that is why I put out the video that I did about proven day trades. We'll start with Chiefs at number 6. With the Browns, they traded number 6. They moved up to number 6. That's 446 point of value for the number 6 overall pick. The Browns received number 9 pick swap, a third round pick, number 74, which is worth 64 points, and number 148. And number 148 is at the very beginning of the fourth round, I believe. Yes, it's at the very beginning of the fourth round. But when you look at all the compensatory picks that are in front of it, that normally would have been, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4,
Beginning of
5,
the
6,
fifth round.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12. What's that?
It's the beginning of the fifth round.
Yeah, but there's, what did I say?
You said fourth.
Did I?
Just wanted to
Yeah,
be
so
correct.
there's 12
Yeah.
compensatory picks in front of it. It's
Mhm.
normally a back end fourth.
Yep.
Now it's a front loaded fifth within like the first 10 picks of the fifth because you have 12 compensatory picks that start at the end of round 3 and then the end of round 4. So it pushes that pick out a little bit. So it's a round 4 by nature. Round 5 by nature, but it's really a back end fourth when you look at it without compensatory picks. So when you don't have the compensatory picks factored in every year, this is why third round and fourth round picks and fifth, and that's why they're devalued now because of all the comp picks. So to get back to the breakdown here, the Browns received 464, the Chiefs received 446. So you're looking at what, a 5% bump just to move up 3 spots. To move up 3 spots, they had to trade an early third round pick. And it's everything that I told everybody it was going to be. It was going to be the third round picks that make the most sense. But why third round picks? Because you don't have any comp picks in front of it. You know what that pick is supposed to be. So we had a third round pick there plus a fifth, which makes tons of sense to me. Cowboys, number 11 with the Dolphins. This was just weird. Maybe they didn't want the fifth round picks, but they gave up 2 fifths, 177 and 180, which honestly, those are comp picks. They gave up 2 comp picks because those are at the very end of the fifth round. Literally, they are the last 5 picks of the round. 177 is the fifth, the fifth last pick, and then 180 is the second to last pick before Detroit drafts last at 181. So in this case, could the Lions have traded up 17 to 11 with the Dolphins? Well, if it took 2 fifth-round picks just to move 1 spot, what would it have taken to move the other 6 spots? It took a third-round pick to go from 9 to 6 with an early fifth-round pick. So could we have traded 2 5s and, well, we don't have a third? Could we have traded 2 4s and 2 5s to move up 6 spots? What do you think?
Maybe. But don't you think they'd want something higher from next year instead?
Well, possibly. And I mean, this is possibly and possibly not.
And you know what we saw last night? Did we see any future picks going? Or was it all stuff from this year?
We'll go through it, and I don't know right off the top of my head. I don't remember. But I have them all in front of me, so we'll go through it. Mm-hmm. So if that's the case, if the Lions could have traded their 2 fifth-round picks, you're talking 157, 181, their 2 fourths. You got 128 and 118. And so 118 is 25 points. 128 is 20 points. 157 is 10 points. A whole 10 points. 181 is 7 points. So that's 20, 30, 55. That's 62 points for those picks. And you don't have a third. You don't have a third. So if we would have traded a future second, well, we'll just say it's, just to be copacetic here, we'll just say it's pick 64. Right? It's at least going to be, near the end of the round, but we'll say pick 64. Well, that's 80 points. So a future second at the back of the second round, that is 142 points combined. The trade from 12 to 11, 11 was worth 358. So a future second, 2 fourths, and 2 fifths is worth 142. You're still 200 points shy. So no, the answer is the Lions did not have the draft capital. The only way that they could have made this work is if they would have ended up trading 50, 17, and then hopefully get back a third with that trade. 50 is 115 points. 17 was 296. So that's 11. That's 10. That's 11. That's 411. So 411 for 358. You minus those two. What is that? 7, 4, 147. 147 points would be, well, that'd be an early second round pick. That would be like 41, but the Lions wouldn't get that back. They would have ended up getting Miami's 75 most likely. So would you have been okay if the Lions moved from 17 to 11 and they picked at 11 and then 74? And then you might even be giving up 118 or 128 here still too. But let's just say they didn't. Let's say it was 50 and 17 for number 11, and then you get back number 74, which I think is too rich. I don't think that Miami would have given them an early third like that. But I think they have extra thirds. They do. They have 87 and 94. So would you have been okay with that? Pick 11, and then you don't pick for another 70 picks? And then you don't pick for another 50 picks after that?
No. Just like today, we only have one pick.
Mm-hmm.
We had one pick yesterday. We have one pick today, and there's 2 rounds today. We only have one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Brad's probably going to work some magic and work his way up to probably a 3rd round pick today. I would suspect maybe 2 second round picks. I don't know. Or maybe we pick once today or not at all. I couldn't tell you with this draft, but fans are going to lose it today if we pick at 50 and that's it. And could you imagine if we would have given it all away?
Why should they lose it like that? Those are our draft picks.
I know. But
those are our draft picks.
Yes. If we would have given away 50 and everything else that you mentioned to move up, what, 6 spots?
No, yeah, we would have moved 17 to 11 for pick 50, pick 17. You get 11 back, and then maybe you get 74 or 87 in return to offset the value. So you get a third. So you pick first, you pick third, and then you pick again in the 4th. So it's the same thing. Like you pick first and second now, or you pick first and third now. The difference is you moved up 6 spots to get who? Proctor?
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you would have moved up to 10, you're paying a whole hell of a lot more.
Yeah. Even that one spot would have been a lot more.
Now let me be clear about this, because I think that there's some misunderstanding going on with what Brad said. And I hate it when I see things like this. Lions explored strongly first round trade up for Blake Miller. I don't necessarily agree with that statement. Now, Brad said that he explored trading up, and his exact quote is, "We did, yeah." Holmes said regarding talks of trade up, "We talked to teams up, way up, and we just talked about it and tried to see if we can be at peace with what the capital is that you'd have to expend. But we definitely explored strongly about trading up." Now, he didn't say trading up. We'll listen to it, but he didn't say trading up for just Blake Miller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Blake Miller conversation, I'm sure, happened as soon as Proctor comes off the board. Then you're looking at, what do I need to do? Do I think that Blake Miller's going to go? Do I think we're going to not end up with an offensive lineman at all? And then it kind of worked out in their favor when the Rams took a freaking quarterback. That's what helped them the most, I feel. So I think if they're looking to trade way up, is 6 spots way up? Or are you looking at number 6 and you were trying to take the defensive player that would have landed to you there, or Neone? You know, Neone made a lot of sense too, to have another power guard in there. Caden Proctor made a lot of sense to put a power guard in there if you moved him to guard. And he ran with Borum on the right side. But I don't think that the Lions were looking to move way up just to get Blake Miller. I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, across everybody's boards, Blake Miller was like the 5th rated offensive tackle in this class. So I don't necessarily believe that. Now, Brad put on a good song and dance last night in his post-draft, round one press conference, but I think it's just that. I think it's just a big song and dance. I don't think there's any validity to what he's saying. Yeah, he's happy about getting the player, but I don't think that they were over the moon trying to move for Blake Miller. I think that they got the door shut in their face at pick 11, and they were probably going to try to scramble. But then they didn't panic because they've got the option of left or right with Penei Sewell. Anyway, go ahead.
I'm sure they tried with a team or two to move up to 10, 11, 12, 13. But once it didn't happen at 13 and the Rams took Ty Simpson, they had to know, well, one of two players we want are probably 95% going to fall to us. Let's just take it easy now. We'll stop trying to move up. We're just going to stick and pick and take who we get, unless somebody gives us a super awesome offer when we get down to 17. We get to 17, nothing happens, we stick and pick. And I think that's exactly what they did. I think they did try to move up. It was just too expensive. Or the teams that they wanted to move up with just weren't coming off of it.
I think.
What if they tried? What if they tried with the Dolphins? What if they tried and tried and tried? They tried to offer him next year's first or this and that, and it just didn't work. They didn't want to give up on an alignment that they thought that the Lions might possibly take and get in front of them.
They were going to get a lineman. I mean, when you look at the board, and I'll go through the rest of the trades in a minute, but when you look at the board, the way that it fell, at pick 10, the Giants taking Francis Maui-Noah. I do not believe that the Lions were interested in a back injury. I really don't. I mean, they've already gone through it with Levi. They're going through it with Sam Laporta. If they would have made that move, then I would have been really upset. Because that's just, you're risking too much, man. You're risking way too much. And you're not getting any value at pick 10. There's no value at pick 10 at all. Unless you're talking about the number one rated quarterback in the league and he falls to 10. Well, then there's a lot of value, but an offensive lineman at 10 there's no value there. None.
So to you, Will, which is better, sticking and picking Blake Miller versus giving up everything you just said to move up to, because you're going to have to move up to 10. You're not moving to 11 because Dolphins aren't coming up off it. So everything it would take to move up to 10 and taking Proctor, which is the better value, sticking and picking with Blake Miller or moving up to 10 and taking Proctor?
Exactly what the Lions did.
Exactly.
And the reason is simple. As much as I believe in Caden Proctor, and I believe in his film, and I believe in the personality, and I believe in the work ethic, I believe that all of these players are a crapshoot. Every single one of these players that was drafted in the first round are a crapshoot. You do not know who they're going to be. You know who they were in college, but you don't know who they will be when they enter your building. And so with that, there's a ton of risk involved in the draft already, because these players, you're going to pay a bunch of money. And that's just the way that the cookie crumbles in the NFL. I mean, you go through it every single season. In this draft, there was not a just true blue chip, set of players that you really fell in love with. Unfortunately, this is probably one of the worst drafts I've seen in a long time. But for the Lions, it would have been that move to move up to 10, because you're not trading with the Cowboys. Why? Because the Cowboys wanted to move up ahead of or to get to number 11 just to get Caleb Downs. They weren't trading. They're not going to move back to 17. They wouldn't have got their player. And Caleb Downs is like one of the last blue chip guys that still has medical red flags, but he was one of the last guys left. And then you have the Rams. I mean, were the Rams confident that Ty Simpson wouldn't have gotten chosen by another team? No. And why is that? Because he would have passed the Ravens. He would have passed the Bucks. Remind me, who's the Bucks keeper? Why can't I say his name right now?
Baker Mayfield.
Baker. There we go. They already have Baker, but the Jets at 16 were probably going to take Ty Simpson if he was still there. But they did the next best thing, and they took Kenyon Sadiq. So the Rams were unlikely to trade to 17 because of the Jets factor. They would have taken Simpson. So the Rams weren't trading, the Cowboys weren't trading, and the Dolphins looked like they were willing to trade, but they weren't going to trade with the Lions because the Lions needed an offense, or the big target was offensive line. Now, I thought it was kind of funny last night. You know, I used the exact phrase that the Lions had a giant target on their back. I used that exact phrase this week. And Brad Holmes last night says, I felt like we had a giant target on our back. Pretty interesting stuff, right? It seems like every year they say a few things that really line up with the content, which is great. That means we're doing the right work. To a lesser extent, I don't think that Blake Miller, I don't think that he probably gets taken by the Panthers or later. You know, you had the Steelers, the Panthers, and the Lions that all took offensive linemen in the bottom third of the first round, or the bottom half, I should say, of the first round. So clearly there were teams that wanted to move up to get their guy, you know, to get an offensive lineman. So if the Lions didn't get an offensive lineman at 17, there was no way to move back other than to 21 with the Steelers, and even then, maybe the Eagles would have taken an offensive lineman, but their offensive lineman was probably already gone, which would have been most likely Caden Proctor. So everything changed at pick 6, and then once Proctor went off the board, everything changed again. And so teams are kind of reshuffling their deck. But what didn't change, and I went through this last night too, is go to the draft matrix on Sports Info Solutions, NFL Draft, that's Sports Info Solutions, and you will see that their board was about 95% accurate last night. Now, I didn't use their board in any of my stuff. I used my own stuff, and I was fairly accurate too with where players were ranked, right? Ranked in kind of, I didn't do the predictive model, you know, in that sense, but the mock is the predictive model. And I mean, even Peter Schrager, I think, got like 5 or 6 picks right last night. It's just a rough draft. It was a rough draft. So for the Lions to move up, it just doesn't make any sense. So when people say, well, if they really wanted Proctor, they would have moved up to get him. Yeah, no. There was just no way. There was no way. And that's why I think if the Lions were really trying to move up, you probably would have had to have moved all the way up to like pick 6. Why? Because the Browns had extra picks. Or you moved up to pick 10 with the Giants because they now had extra picks. But the Giants were taking an offensive lineman. So they're not going to trade with you. I think if you go down the list, Eric, let's go down to the list together. And let's start from pick, because there was no movement until pick 6. So if you go Browns, were the Browns a likely trade candidate with the Lions? Who did they take? They took Spencer Fano. Were they going to trade with the Lions?
Probably not.
Probably not. So they took an offensive lineman. The next pick, Sonny Styles with the Commanders. Do you think that the Commanders could have traded with the Lions?
Possibly.
Possibly because they didn't take offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
But then you're also looking at the last linebacker that is available, who's a pretty damn good linebacker. Probably not. Yeah. When that fell that way, they're not moving. And going from 7 to 17, you're talking a massive haul, number one, and a massive drop in player that you're about to get in a draft that maybe has 12 blue chip or first round grades. All right? Saints. Possibly there could have been a move here with the Saints all the way up to number 8. Why? They took a receiver in Jordan Tyson. I would say that one's probably the most realistic, and I doubt we're ever going to find out who. But Browns and then Giants taking offensive linemen at 9 and 10, and at 6, most likely the Browns were going to take an offensive lineman, but they did themselves a great service by just trading back a few picks. Still got their player and netted some extra draft capital. Smart move. Cowboys at 12. Could the Lions have traded with the Cowboys? They've traded before. So it's likely that they could have, but they took Caleb Downs and they ended up moving up. And I think that once you get through pick 10 and you see that the Giants took Francis Maui-Noa, the Cowboys are like, oh no, we're not moving now. We don't want to move back. There's no way. We're going to take the best safety on the board. I don't think the Lions had a shot in like an ice cube does in hell. I don't think they had a shot at moving up, even if they really wanted to. But if a team would have been willing to take the deal, I think you're talking double of what teams were willing to take. Double, because their player was there. That's why it's so hard to trade into the top 10. It's extremely difficult. For teams that are already in the top 10, it's not as difficult. I don't know. Lions weren't going to move. Moving back made sense, but not once all those offensive linemen went off the board. I just think it's funny, though, that a lot of people thought that these offensive linemen were going to drop out of the first round or, not have a chance to get picked where they got picked. And I felt the exact opposite. I thought a lot of offensive linemen were going to come off this board early. And we saw Max Ahanachor go early, too. So, the Lions did the best job they could. Let's just put it that way. And I don't think Blake Miller's a bad spot. I don't think he's a bad player at all. Now, you had an interesting conversation with someone. You don't have to say who it was or anything. But give us the brief info that you had.
Well, I got to keep this all anonymous. How do I frame this? So
You can just say it. You don't have to say anybody's name. Just say it.
yeah, I was sent a message asking my opinion on Blake Miller. And I said, I loved it. And I loved the pick. And I need to refresh my memory.
Well, hold on. While you're doing that, Rather Be Fishing Fred dropped $5 in the bucket. Says, I would have rather have moved up in the second and get Warren in the second than move up in the first. I agree with you. And just so everybody knows, with super chats, super thanks, all that good stuff, I'm going to try to hold these to either a break, like after the first hour, or at the end of the show. We try to go through all of them. That way we can go through all of the questions and everything. I'm implementing that slowly. So as we get more and do more that way, I'm going to try to hold them and do a little segment at the end of the show. I got a couple other things I'm cooking up too, but appreciate you, Rather Be Fishing, Fred. And I agree.
Yeah, so they asked my opinion on Freeling. I gave them my opinion on Freeling and Blake Miller and said that, 99% of Lions fans wanted Freeling, but I really liked Blake Miller. And I posted, he's got 54 games, and he's like, well, I have a source inside that somebody that works for the Lions, and he was texting back and forth with them last night. And that person in the Lions...
Make sure you don't say the person in the Lions that works there.
Yep. Let's just say an assistant. Really wanted Freeling or the guard or to Penn State. Not so much Blake Miller. So he was kind of disappointed that they didn't take Freeling. Okay, because he
or Neone.
Thought that, or Neone. And I guess the guard was probably in play, but after he went to the Ravens, there wasn't much they could do. And
at that point it's done. But that's why I kept saying too, like Olavavega Neone, if the Lions had a shot, that was the guy that I felt that they would have taken after Proctor. But I didn't expect Neone to go after Proctor. I thought that he would have even went before Maui-Noa, given the back injury, and then Maui-Noa probably would have went to the Ravens. I think that they probably still would have taken Maui-Noa. Even though he's a tackle, I think they would have moved him inside.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting. But I've been saying this whole time, take the guard. Like, even if you get Proctor, put him in at guard. Just get really great at the interior and put your veteran guys, your more experienced guys on the outside. It's interesting.
Here's the meat and the potatoes of the message that I got last night. It will be interesting to see how things shake out for sure. Miller is the safer pick for sure. And like you said, Freeling only started 18 games. He says, I think it was the upside that the assistant was attracted to, but all is well. And any help on the O-line is needed. And then he asked me what I think is coming up next in the second round. And he said, what if they look at the corner from Tennessee, the first rounder that fell due to his knee issue? So there's a little tidbit for today. Maybe the Lions are looking at a corner.
Oh, they're definitely looking at a corner. They're definitely looking at a corner.
And that's why I say
I'd say that they're still looking at a safety. I'm going to put out the post first round mock draft today at some point. And maybe it will get a lot sharper on the second go around.
Yep.
Cruising. I can't put that stuff in there, buddy.
What's he talking about?
I can't, dude, you got to be careful, man. I can't put that stuff in there.
Yeah, I got to get up and see what he's talking about.
Well, I already hit it.
Oh, yeah, but I can look at it. What the heck?
Yeah, that's a little off the wall.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah. Keep it clean, man. Keep it clean. We're a family show.
All right, so up next, let's keep breaking down these trades. And I'm breaking down the trades because I think it's important that as fans or as analysts, people that are just, want to know, why does it make sense the trades went down the way that they did? And why did, this draft capital go versus that draft capital? I went back and did a lot of research for the last 20 drafts. Now, I realize that the last 5 drafts probably matter the most when you look at the reality of today's NFL and what it's going to take to move up, down, left, right, whatever. And a lot of these trades lined up almost spot on. So the Cowboys, we already talked about that one. The Eagles. So the Eagles up to pick 20 with the Cowboys. The Eagles got pick 20, which was 269. And I'm sorry, pick 20, which is 269 points. This is where you had your 2027 draft capital. So they had a 7th round pick in 2027 added. And it's not on the, the Rich chart, the Rich Hill chart, but if I just go in and take a 7th round pick,
1 point.
Yeah, they're anywhere from 1 to 4 points.
So give them the max.
We'll just give them 4 points.
4 points, yeah.
Right? So that equals $273 points in trade value back that the Eagles received. They got pick 20 and a future 7, and that future 7 is only worth a max of 4 points. The Cowboys received pick 23, which is 245, 114, which is a 4th round pick, 28 points, and 137, which is another 4th round pick, which is a comp pick, which is worth 16 points. So you had 273 minus 289. So the Cowboys received 15 points more, but when you look at that trade, that is 3 spots. And it's at the, the middle to the last third of the draft. If the Lions are to move from 17 to 14 with the Ravens, it looks like it would have cost us 17 and both of our 4th round picks. 17 and both of our 4th round picks to move up, and we would have received a 7th round pick, next year, potentially. So could they have moved up at 14 for both of our 4th round picks? Potentially. They could have. But then the Lions pick at 1750, and then you don't pick for 107 more picks. 3 rounds.
Ouch.
3 rounds. You're going to miss everybody in the draft.
I'll be right back. 30 seconds.
Oh, yeah. Do what you got to do. So there is potential based on this draft trade that does make a little bit of sense where the Lions could have moved up. But the Ravens weren't going to move up or move back, excuse me. They were taking the offensive lineman. So again, I think that what the Lions did was the right move. Just stick the pick, don't trade back, take your guy. It's one of the last ones left, and he's a pretty damn good offensive tackle. I'm going to break him down in a video a little bit later on today. Texans. They traded up to number 26 with the Bills. So these trades now are going to give us a window into the second round. Like what's going to happen in the second round if the Lions want to move up? And where do the Lions need to move up? And cleanly, I would say they need to move all the way up. They need to have the Jets on the phone. Well, actually, that's changed now. San Francisco, that's probably not going to happen. Arizona is probably the team that they would like to trade. And even Cleveland at 39. But I would say 34 or 39 would be the best opportunity for the Lions to get a damn good playmaker. 34 might net you Emmanuel McNeil-Warren if that's their cup of tea. And there's some other opportunities there, like Jacob Rodriguez. So, Texans and Bills. I don't think Eric's back yet. Fix that. Texans and Bills. Texans up to number 26 with the Bills. Number 26 was 223. Number 91, so another third-round pick. And they're moving 2 spots. The Texans went from 28 to 26. 2 spots. And this is what it cost. The Bills ended up getting a pick swap of pick 28 and number 69, which is an extremely early third-round pick. Like, this was a hell of a haul. Like, this is something that I wouldn't have been mad at with the Lions if they would have, landed something, in this draft. But then they also got 167, which is a round 5 pick. Overall, 289 points they received. And what did they give up? They gave up 26, and they gave up 91. So this is a very similar trade, like a Brad Holmes trade. What the Bills ended up doing is they move back 2 spots, and then they take their pick 91, and they move up 22 spots, and then they get an extra 5th-round pick. So they moved up 22 spots in the third round, 22 spots, and add an extra 5th-round pick. And the comp value, the Bills got 289 back, and the Bills sent 267, they got 289 back. So a difference of 22 points. So you're looking at about a 17, whatever the number is, about 17%. What's the math on that? What's 289 and 267? 17%.
I am not a math whiz.
That's why you have a calculator. I don't know. It's probably a lot less than that. Let me do it. 267 divided by 289. About 8%. About 8%. So they got 8% better in trade value, and then they added an extra pick and moved up 22 spots. Like, that's a damn good trade. Because the meat and potatoes, like you said earlier, the meat and potatoes of this draft, I'm telling you, it's going to end right around pick 80 in the third, and it's going to drop way off until probably 105. Like, 25 spots in there that we might see a lot of trades between 80 and 105. I think a lot of teams want to get north of 80. Remember, a lot of teams have said that there's maybe 150 draftable players, which tells you the Lions have 4 picks into the draftable area, maybe 5, with 157 included. Maybe 5. So we have 4 picks outside the draftable range. That's how bad this draft is. Next draft. So while you were gone, I don't know what you heard, but the Bills, making this trade from 26 to 28, dropping back, they ended up moving 22 spots up, and then they also added a 5th round pick, and they came out ahead, on the point value. Dolphins, they went up to 27, and they traded with the 49ers. 49ers dropped to 30, so they go 27 to 30. They end up picking up a 3rd round pick, and they ended up sending back a very late comp pick in round 4, which is really an early 5th round pick. So they sent a late 4, 138, which is the 3rd to the last pick in the 4th round. And they moved up. Goodness. What's the math on this? They moved up 48 picks, so a round and a half. A round and a half just by dropping back 3 spots. That's a pretty expensive trade. So when you get towards the end of the first round, things get expensive again. Patriots. Well, they wanted to move up to 28 with the Bills. And the Bills, man, they just snaked them again. They move from 28 to 31, and they add 125, which is kind of right in the middle of the 4th round, but it's in that wheelhouse of the meat and potatoes of this draft. I think I put the wrong code in. Let me put in the Buffalo Bills. Let me see what picks they have now. Wow. Bills have 35, 66, 101, 125, 126, 167, 168, 182, and 220. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more picks before 127. Before Detroit drafts at 128. That's impressive. And just by moving back a couple of spots.
Yep.
So had the Lions decided to trade back from 17, and so I don't know if we even looked at that. I know I haven't. If we would have moved back from 17 and dropped back with any one of these teams, let's look at the teams that moved up real quick. The Patriots moved up to 28. The Dolphins moved up to 27. The Texans moved up to 26. The Eagles moved up to 20. So had we traded with the Eagles and dropped back to 23, who would we have been able to get at 23? At 23, you had Malachi Lawrence, Casey Concepcion, Dylan Thieneman, Keelan Rutledge, Chris Johnson, Caleb Lomu, Peter Woods, Omar Cooper Jr., Keldrick Falk, and Jadarian Price that all went at the end of the first round. Would you have been happy with any one of those players?
So Lomu would have been the only one you could take.
For offensive line.
Yeah. But if the Lions, let's say that we traded with the Patriots, right? The Patriots probably aren't going to take Blake Miller. Who did the Patriots end up taking? Let's see here. They took Caleb Lomu, so maybe they would have. So that would have stuck us with somebody like Caleb Lomu if we would have went back to, say, 28 with the Patriots. But the Patriots at that time were at 31. So, yeah, I think we would have, if we would have traded back, we'd be with Caleb Lomu. What would I don't know. I don't know how happy I would have been about that move.
So Caleb Lomu, I mean, I personally don't like his game, but he has requisite height, weight, speed, all that good stuff. 33 and 3/8 inch arms. I mean, he's just under the threshold for me. But he has good height, he has good weight, and he has a better lower body than I believe what Freeling has. I think Freeling's really long, and just not that exciting. And he doesn't have a good first step from how light he is compared to like Caleb Proctor. Right? Caleb Proctor was a 1.7, 110-yard split. Lomu was a 1.74, and he's 40 pounds heavier, and he ran or 0.2 of a second faster in the 40, and he didn't even jump as good as what Proctor did in the vertical. So he's not as athletic as what Proctor is. Now, if we were to compare him to Blake Miller, Blake Miller comes in at, once it loads, 6'6" and 3/4, 34 1/4 inch arms, 317 pounds. I want to say he's like the second or third heaviest tackle. I think he might be the second. 9 3/4 inch hands, so big hands. 504 in the 40. A little slower in the 10-yard split, still at 175. Jump, his vertical wasn't as good as Proctor, and his broad was kind of right on par, but power. This guy has power. See, Lomu didn't bench. And when you don't bench, I think that tells me something. Either you're faking a shoulder injury, and you don't want, which you don't want to do because that'll ruin your draft, your draft marketability, or you're just not as strong. Caden Proctor put up 25 reps on the bench, which is solid for a guy with 33 3/8 inch arms. Blake Miller is even stronger. At least right now, he's even stronger. He put up 32 reps on the bench, which is damn good. Like he's definitely one of the more powerful guys, in this class. He doesn't get enough recognition for what he did in the combine. I think the Lions still, like I said, I think that they did a great job with what was left over. But again, if we move back to 23, we're not taking Malachi Lawrence. And Caleb Lomu, where did he end up going? He went
to the Patriots.
Patriots at 28.
Yeah.
So then
that's probably the pick, but what would we have gotten as value
for the trade?
Yeah, what would we have been given?
No, it's the same as what everyone else received. So I'll just go back to 20 to 23. I think it would have been very comparable to this. The Lions would have received 23, and if it was with the Eagles, see they only gave up 114. I don't know why the Cowboys are so nice to the Eagles here.
Well, that's why I said they won that trade, because they did it in division. That'd be like us and the Packers doing that again. They're just not going to do that anymore. Brad got away with it once. Same thing with the Vikings.
So had the Lions moved back from 17 to 23,
6 spots,
it would have been, where's the Eagles' third round? Hold on. Eagles. Why is that not showing up? Got to learn all the 3-digit codes. So we probably would have received 68.
Okay.
Right? Pick 68. And that would have been phenomenal. But going from 17 to 23, you pick up pick 68, and let's just do the math. 68 is 73 points.
Yeah, and that's top of the third round.
73 points. 17 is 296. 23 is 245. And if that's all that was exchanged, which is doubtful, I think that the Lions probably would have had to have sent 157. And 157 is not much. It's only 10 points. So that puts us at 306. And that would have put the Eagles at 318. And I think that's a fair trade. So we would have been able to move back to 23, picked up 68, and given up 157 and 17. That would have been a damn good trade. And at 23, you end up with Caleb Lomu, or what a lot of people are thinking, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I kind of feel the same way. I think Blake Miller would have been available a little bit later.
Possibly.
I really do. I think I think he would have been
I
available.
think other teams might not have been looking at right tackle. They're looking for more for a left tackle. So all these other teams didn't have the flexibility that the Detroit Lions did to pick either. Because Penei Sewell is a bona fide left tackle and a bona fide right tackle. So it doesn't matter where you put him, he's going to be just fine. And these other teams, they don't have the flexibility to throw somebody left to right. They're either left or they're either right. Very, very rarely do you have a lineman that can play both at an all-pro level. And I think Penei Sewell is going to be an all-pro at the left side, his natural position.
Arse's draft trigonometry. Am I losing y'all guys with the math? It's just a good conversation to kind of know what we're looking at. So let's move into the second round. So the Lions are picking at 50. And according to the draft matrix right now, the best players overall on the board is Denzel Boston. Here, let me get this up. Let me get this up on the board. Oh, boy. Let me slim that puppy down. If you guys are looking to get more knowledge about football, or SIS, Sports Info Solutions, is hiring interns, and it's like a paid internship. It's like a paid program where you'll get access to their scout school, and then you do data entry. So if you're retired, if you're interested, if you're young, if you're old, it don't matter. But if you love football and you want to talk football and you want to learn more football, get in touch with Sports Info Solutions right now and sign up for their internship. It's a good program, man. You get to learn a lot of stuff, and then you can do all this stuff on your own. You don't need anyone telling you anything. All right, so let me go back one more. I know it's tough to see, but I at least want it up there so you can kind of see the way that the board's falling right now. And this is NFL draft.sportsinfosolutions.com. That's where you can find the draft matrix. It's at the top, right next to the big board. And so what this does is it tells you, exactly what an NFL team is looking at. This is how they set up their boards, how I set up my board. You have your ranking system vertically, right? From all the way down here, from 5.4 all the way up to 7 points. Now, there's 8, there's 9, like the scale goes to 9, and but it's very rare that you see players that are ranked into the 8s. It's very rare. But here, what you're looking at right now is these are the players that were on the board before they were drafted, and these are the players that are on the board after the draft. I know that's moving kind of quickly, but you don't really see a whole lot of players taken in the 6'6" range unless it's Fernando Mendoza, Kenyon Sadiq, Blake Miller, Caleb Lomu, Omar Cooper Jr., Caleb Banks, Caldrick Falk. Those were all the players that were taken in the 6'6" range right here. That's the 6'6" range. So you had quite a few players that were taken in this draft. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, at least 7 players, a third of the first round or a quarter of the first round were 6'6" and up. So now when I slim it down, you still have some players that are ranked in the 6'7" range that weren't taken. So teams have undervalued Denzel Boston, Brassel, McDonald, Hunter, C.J. Allen, Colton Hood, Avion Terrell, and McNeil Warren. I keep wanting to call him Emmett Awari. Emmanuel McNeil Warren. So you still have some very good value at the top of this board. So, Eric, if I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, if I'm the Lions, I don't need a receiver, right?
No.
Okay. We'll look at safety. We'll look at corner. We'll look at linebacker. We'll look at edge. We're going to look at DT. And we'll look at tight end. I would say that those are the positions that you're probably looking to get into the second round. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I totally agree with that.
All right. In the chat, you guys tell us now, obviously in the comments later, do you agree or disagree that those would be the 4 positions that the Lions are looking looking to get here into the second round. I'm trying to make this a lot bigger so now you guys can actually see it. Got to go back one. So forgive me on the left side. That's just the scale. It starts at 7 and it works its way down. So if those are the positions that we're looking at, look, we have some very good value here at 6.7. You have 6 players. So what does that mean? That means that at the top of the second round, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That means at pick 38, this is how I would do it if I was a GM. Pick 38 is the floor for me. That means if I want Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Avion Terrell, Colton Hood, CJ Allen, Caden McDonald, or Lee Hunter, I need to trade up to 38. Moving after that, if I'm interested in McCoy, and he better not be, then I need to move. I can move up a little bit further, or if I'm happy with any one of those players, then I can move up to 39. Or if I'm happy with any of those players, plus Hill, plus Parker, plus Yakis, well, now I can move up to 43 and just accept what comes. Am I making sense?
Yeah. Hey, well, I'm on their website. How do I get into that page that you're on?
You're on nfldraft.sportsinfosolutions.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go to the top, and it should say Draft Matrix. Top left.
Top left.
Yeah, you got to make sure that you're zoomed out. You can't be zoomed in.
Okay, let's see. Oh, there it is. No, I was zoomed in. That's why I couldn't see it. There we go.
That's the one thing that trips me up too. Okay, so if I'm making sense here, chat, then let's think about this logistically as a general manager might look at it. I think it's pretty accurate. If I'm looking at getting a player in the second round that's going to give me a lot of value and it's going to help my team, then I'm going to whittle my board down to these 6 positions. And I'm saying, man, we could really use a safety, but if we go get a safety, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren's the only one left before you get into the 6-4s. Ramsey, Kilgore, Smith, Clark, Halsey, Wheatley, Husky, and more, and Payne. So that means that you're going to have to move up pretty early if you want Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. You better jump all the way up to 33. Now, cornerbacks, if you're okay with any one of Hood or Terrell, McCoy, or Cease, then you need to move up 4 spots into the second round, which would put you at pick 36. Now, if you're okay with any of these first 5 in the way that they fall, that means you move up to pick 37. Well, let's just say some of these players, and I wish I could take these players off my board, but they haven't added a way to do that. Mm-hmm. Let's just say I want McNeil, Hood, Terrell, Allen, Hill, Parker, Yakis, McDonald, Rodriguez down here, the 3rd linebacker. Mm-hmm. So that's 9 players. And let's say Christian Miller, that's 10. And then Max Clare, that's 11. I'm happy with any one of those players right now. Well, then that would put 33, 34, 35, 36, 37. Wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That would put us back at pick 43. So that means the Lions would have to move up to 43. So we are just outside the range of getting a player that I feel could help this team. Now, there's 2 or 3 other players that I could add to that list. Lawson, Curry, Danny Dennis-Sutton. I think that those players are also interesting for the Lions. So that puts you back at, where were we before? 43. So now you're back to 46. So we are 4 picks outside of getting one of the players that has been heavily mocked to the Lions, depending on who you follow. But there's a couple more players. What about Kilgore? What about Wheatley? Now, I think that Wheatley is definitely a little bit later in the round, and this is only taking into account these 6 positions. I don't think that we're looking at offense at all. And if we are, I'd be surprised. Like, if we're looking at offensive line still, I'd be really surprised. but I would say that it's these 6 spots or these 6 positions that the Lions are looking at doing something in. So off this board, Eric, make your assumptions or make your list, and you guys do it in the chat too. Which players do you want? And then give me a trade scenario. Tell me where you want me to trade up to. Lions are at 50. And the second round starts at pick 33.
So that's 17 spots before the Lions pick, or 18 spots before the Lions.
Who's this 7 Yimes? No beard is cooking right now. That's hilarious.
Well, that's you.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. No beard. Don't worry, I'll have a beard soon. Might be here tomorrow.
Yeah. Better be blue. Oh, man.
All right, so here we go. We'll start with Gaviscon. So Gaviscon understood the assignment and says, I want Anthony Hill Jr., but we need to be at 43. Okay, so if you think that Anthony Hill means that 43 is the floor for him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wouldn't that be pick 40? Or are you adding McCoy and Parker into the mix too, which would be 42? Help me understand.
I see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3.
Call them out.
Okay, so Emmanuel McNeil Warren,
Uh-huh.
Hood,
Mm-hmm.
Terrell, Allen, McDonald, and Claire. So that's mine. And then you're going to have...
I got a question for you. Sidebar.
Yep.
If we get Max Claire, will this is a great question. If we get Max Claire, will the Lions add a special spot in Ford Field where you can go get a Maxi Claire ice cream bar?
What's a Maxi Claire ice cream bar?
Yeah, well, Eclair is the ice cream bar. It's going to be a Max Eclair.
Oh, I got you.
Bop. Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to be funny there for a minute.
That's a big time play.
I tell you what, you think the fan bases went nuts with us not picking an edge rusher? Oh my God, they would explode. They would actually lose their minds having Parker, Howell, Yakis, Mason Thomas, Height, Young, Moore, Danny Dennis Sutton, all of those players on the board, and us not taking one, but we move up and we take Max Claire instead. Well,
we have a definite need.
Yes,
at tight end though.
But you look at tight end. Just look at the tight end position. You have Claire and Stowers, and then you have no one until the 5s. I mean, this is all bottom loaded 5th, 6th, 7th rounders for tight end. All the meat and potatoes of the tight ends, there's only 2 of them.
Okay, let's take a look at this this step chart for a moment, okay?
Sure.
So you're looking at defense right here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's look at the defensive ends. You have Aiden Hutchinson. Behind him, you have Peyton Turner. Behind him, you have Ahmed Hassanin. Now, we don't know enough about Ahmed Hassanin. I know that there's some fools out there that were trying to compare Ahmed Hassanin to Aiden Hutchinson. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But Ahmed Hassanin, yeah, he could still be somebody, but you're talking a tier 3 player, right? A tier 3 player that has yet to play. So I cannot count on Ahmed Hassanin to do or be anything until he does or becomes something, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can't count on it. DJ Wanham, he is a proven commodity in the NFL. He has legit starting experience, and he's off the right side. But what the interesting thing here is I don't think that Wanham should be here at RDE. I think that Wanham should be up here behind Aiden Hutchinson at LDE as the left defensive end because he's more of a speed guy, and I think Peyton Turner should be down here at RDE So I don't think that our lads is exactly correct, because when you look at the Lions defense and what it has been for 5 seasons, it's big end and it's speed end, strong side, weak side, right? Your weak side is usually the faster guy. Your strong side is your stronger guy. It's the guy that you want to set the edge. Now they flip back and forth depending on which way the offense is aligned and yada, yada, yada. And then behind them, we have Tyler Lacey. So we have 5 defensive ends right now, and all 5 of them are making the team right now. So even if we were to add one right here, they're still going to have an uphill battle to even start. Tyler Lacey started to play pretty good football. He still has a long way to go, but I think it's a shorter distance, if that makes sense. He's still young, and he hasn't played a ton, but he started to play pretty well in spurts last year, and even the year before that when we used him. Aiden should have his best year this year. I'm calling it right now. This is going to be Aiden's best season. But DJ Wanham can come in and lay the wood down. Like, he has the speed. He can bend and flatten towards the quarterback. And I think he has plenty of gamesmanship in his game. He has a bag full of tricks. I think he's going to be fun to watch. But we desperately need an edge setter right now. And so if you're looking at an edge setter, who is it? It's Tyler Lacey. Is it Ahmed Hassanin? I think Ahmed's more the speed guy. So we have Tyler Lacey and Peyton Turner as our edge setters. We have Hassanin, Wanham and Hutchinson as our speed guys. And I would say that you add an edge setter to this class or this roster, and you're fine. But where do we pick one up? We'll get back to that in a minute. So I'm going to say we need an edge setter, not a speed guy. Okay, let's look at the linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
You have Rodriguez, Campbell, and Barnes. Those are your starting 3. But then you have Damone Clark. Now, Damone Clark, if memory serves me right, which we're going to verify it right now. I only use PFF because it's quick. I know where stuff is here. I'm going to go to his snaps by position. We're going to go to the detailed look. And I'm going to go back to 2022. Because that's when I think he played the most ball, if I'm not mistaken. If you look where he lines up, it's mostly in the box. Inside linebacker on the left, middle a couple of times, and then right inside linebacker. So he played a lot more inside linebacker back in 2022. Okay, not on the outside. Let's go to 2023. 934 snaps. 674 of them inside the box. Where's outside at? Here we go. Outside. Left outside, 34 snaps. Where's left outside? Am I not seeing it? You got left end, left outside, right end outside. Oh, here we go. Right outside. Only 68 snaps. So inside backer again. 2024. 444 snaps. 153 in the box. Played a lot of special teams, I think, this year. Yeah. Kick coverage, kick return, punt coverage, punt return, almost all special teams. Damone Clark might be a key special teamer for us and not utilized heavy in the defense unless it's like sub-package stuff where you want 2 inside backers on the field at the same time, Jack and Clark. That's kind of cool. Jack Clark. That's who's going to be on the inside of our defense. And I bet you we see that at some point throughout the season. So we really don't have another will linebacker is the whole point that I'm trying to make here. We don't have another will linebacker. Malcolm Rodriguez is it. So if you're thinking logistically here, how are you going to get better and who do you need to add? The second player that I'm looking to add right now is a will linebacker. And I don't think that is any secret. What else on the defense? Safety, man. These guys are in red for a reason, right? They're injured. And Branch and Joseph have the biggest question marks around them because you don't know when they're going to get back and you don't know if they're going to play. So who do we bring in? We brought in Christian Izzian. He can definitely play strong safety. He can play up in the box. He was used primarily in special teams the last couple of years because he was edged out by Antoine Winfield and 2 second-round picks that Tampa Bay Bucks spent on secondary. And then you have Chuck Clark. Okay, let's look up Chuck Clark. Mr. Old Chuck Clark here. Damn, it's already 11 o'clock.
Is it really?
Yeah. Well, we didn't get on till after 9.
Oh, yeah. So, I need to address something here. Gotta find it first, though.
All right, so Chuck Clark in 2025, he played 109 snaps in the box, 54 in the slot, 284 as a free safety. So that tells me that this is a free safety in the making right here for the Lions in 2025. So exactly why he's in the spot that he's in to back up Kirby Joseph. But this is not a player that you want to lead your defense from the back end, I think, for 2026. I don't have the faith. I think he's a great substitution. I think he's going to be a great backup. I think he's going to be excellent in sub packages. But this is not the leader of my defense from the back end. It's just not. And neither is Christian Izien. We really need a safety. We really need a safety. And I would even go as far as to say that free safety is more important because, well, quite simply, Kirby Joseph is just this big unknown mystery. Brian Branch is pretty clear, cut, and dry. If he comes back from the injury and he's good, well, you know who he is. Now, can he get back to his same form? And he only has a year left on his deal. Really, you need both. But I think if you're going to get a safety in this draft, you're going to shoot for a free safety if there's a better free safety versus a strong safety. We have Avonte Maddox, which he can play as a backup. He played pretty well last year when he was asked to do it, but that wasn't his primary position throughout his career. Dan Jackson, we have no idea who Dan Jackson is yet. And we also have Thomas Harper, who also can play in that position. But the Lions lined themselves up here with 8 guys in the safety box. Strickland's been around forever. He knows the system. Harper will be entering year 2 with us. Maddox will be in year 2. Jackson will be in year 2. Jackson's coming back from a significant injury too, right? So right now I would say that safety is probably the second most needed position on the defense. And then I would go to corner. Because Avonte Maddox can play corner. And so he has duality there. Any thoughts, differences, ideas?
No, just there's someone in the chat, a new name I've never seen before, Jerome.
Uh-huh.
He really wants us to take an edge, it sounds like, and just not very happy that we're always drafting to help out Goff and never on the defense. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that in the 5 years that Brad Holmes has been here, he's invested in 19 defensive picks and only 17 offensive picks. So now he's up to 18 and 19. Okay. So it's pretty even 50-50 what he has used on the defense, what he's used on the offense. So, I mean, last year he got a defensive lineman in the first round. 3 years ago, he got Hutch, number 2 overall. So you can't tell me that he hasn't invested in the line. Just because he doesn't have 2 first-round edge rushers doesn't mean he's doing a bad job, doesn't mean he's doing it wrong. It means they're doing it the right way. And I truly believe that today you are not going to see an edge rusher come off the board for the Detroit Lions. I think right now, safety in Emmanuel McNeil-Warren or Hood, Terrell, or Cease. And if Allen's still left, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I see 5 players that the Lions, maybe 6 with McDonald, the defensive tackle. So a total of 6 I see that the Lions would actually go after. I don't think they want Parker, Howell, Yakus, Mason Thomas, or Height. I don't think the Lions want one of those guys. None of those guys scream Detroit Lions to me. I know that Giannis has been predicted to go to the Lions over and over and over again. And then I see a lot of people today want more from Michigan. Well, that's everybody's Michigan fandom coming through. That's not that they actually want him. He had one good season with 10 sacks.
Who are we talking about at Michigan? Moore?
Moore.
Or Barham?
Moore.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing every year. Every University of Michigan fan believes that every University of Michigan fan player should be a Lion, and that's just not the case.
Exactly.
And well, hold on. Furthermore from that, what you just said will always reign true about every player, regardless, not irregardless, regardless of school. And that is time on task. The Lions, if you haven't noticed, they value a few things. And I just pulled up the free agency chart to help you with a few things that I just saw you asked in the chat or said in the chat. Number one, they love wrestlers. Number two, they love leaders and captains. And number three, they love experience. I think every team loves all three of those things. But the Lions value those things. Like, I think Ragnow was a high school or a college wrestler and might even have been a state champion. It's part of the reason why he was so good as a center, because he had really good core strength to be able to, shed defenders or lock into defenders and not lose at the point of contact because he didn't have a good midsection. Like, your midsection is very important, even more important than probably your arms and your legs. Like, that's where you get all of your strength. Especially when you're battling, up top, right? And you have to be able to steer guys. That's all core. So being a former wrestler, you train muscles differently. Where was I going with that? Oh, so Miller, former wrestler, former captain, permanent captain, Iron Man, healthy, ton of time. So, yeah, we bring in a guy that could be the next better than Taylor Decker. Could be. Yeah. Have a long way to go, but he fits all the boxes or checks all the boxes and fits the need at the same time. So to answer your question, didn't we just bring someone in, Larry Borum, that we're paying $5 to $8 million or whatever the statement was, to sit behind Miller? No. So I would say that right now Miller and Borum are going to go at it. The best man's going to win. That's the way the Lions do it every year, regardless of where you're drafted or how much you're paid. These guys are going to compete. Now, I would say that Miller is the odds-on favorite because we drafted him, but if Borum outplays him, then Borum outplays him. And Borum, I don't think, is set to make just $5 million. I want to say that he has some incentives. Well, he has, no, maybe not. I thought he had more incentives, but he has 4.9 guaranteed. So you're spending 4.9 on a guy that has experience, and it's an offensive tackle. Like, the tackles make a shit ton of money. So that's peanuts to pay. We spent, was it 10 or 15 million on Zeitler for an all-pro, aging all-pro at that. Had a great season. So that's peanuts to pay to have stability. So the Lions have brought in stability, and they did it so that they could go into this draft and say, both hands are open, left or right. Whatever we get, we're not going to make a fit. And they were able to get the right tackle, which now means Sewell's got to go left. But you were saying something before I interrupted you.
That's okay. I lost it. This Jerome guy's going nutsoid in the chat. He's saying for the last 4 years, we've been missing the pass rush. We haven't had a pass rush in 4 years. Okay. Then you tell me why the Lions ended up being fourth in sacks last year for the entire season, number 4 in sacks. So and I think pressures, we were number 1 or number 2 in pressures in the league last year. So you tell me how we're missing a pass rush with what we had last year. I don't get it. I don't see where we're missing the pass rush. Our defense was top 5 through the first 8 weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. Our defense was playing great, and then injuries happened. We need to back up these players with that back end of our defense. We need bodies, and we need bodies that aren't from a practice squad with no experience or UDFAs. We need real solid second, third, fourth rounders that can come in and play if needed. The back end of this defense needs major help. Cornerback, safety, linebacker, all your guys in your back seven. Those are the guys that we need right now. I will take that over edge rusher any day for the second, fourth, and fifth round. I don't know if we're going to get a pass rusher today. I highly doubt it. I put the odds at 30% that we get an edge rusher today. That's just my 2 cents on it. I think it's going to be safety and corner today. And I think we picked twice today.
Here's the thing that I think a lot of people miss. And it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. The Lions have, I mean, I had the roster up. Let me go back to it.
Yeah.
I'll just go down the roster real quick. Throw it back up. Cade Mays, bona fide starter. Right now, he only has, 19 games, 20 games as a starter at center. So that's a little worrisome. But he has 3 years in the league, and he's been getting better and better and better every year. Larry Borum is a starter. He's started for many years now in the league, 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it's been. Rock Ya-Sin, bona fide starter, played really good ball last year. DJ Wanham, another starter, played a lot of ball in his life. Malcolm Rodriguez, the only reason why he was a starter is because we needed players to play. He is not the answer for me either at the will linebacker position, but he's also not a bad football player. He's really good against the run. He's not going to give you the best coverage, but what I would say is scheme matters. So if you have a weak will linebacker, you're going to scheme it up to have hopefully a 2-high safety shell more this year or 3 safeties, and you're going to leak a safety or another corner up and around that will linebacker, and maybe we're going to be in more 2 linebacker sets. So don't say that we have a weak position when you don't even know what the scheme is. I don't even know what the scheme is, but I've heard that there's scheme changes, and they're doing some things differently this year. Christian Izien, look, he's a damn good football player. He's a hell of a special teamer. So every player has their position. Malcolm Rodriguez is also a hell of a special teamer. He's one of the better special teamers in the league. Avonte Maddox proved last year that he could play. Roger McCreary has proved that he can play. Greg Dortch definitely can play in special teams, is one of the better returners in the game. Trevor Nowaski, another special teamer and someone that's filling in the back end of your linebacker room. But if we go to the entire roster and you look at the core, this is where things change. Jared Goff, Pro Bowler. I don't think he's reached an All-Pro, which is crazy to me. Amon-Ra St. Brown, All-Pro, drafted. Aleem McNeil, Pro Bowler, right? He got a Pro Bowler or no? I think he did. Aleem McNeil, didn't he get a Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have an All-Pro yet, though. Penei Sewell, drafted, All-Pro, Pro Bowl. DJ Reed, he's a good corner, but he didn't prove it last year. Aiden Hutchinson finally got an All-Pro, Pro Bowl, drafted. Derek Barnes, I think he played in a Pro Bowl, didn't he? Maybe not. Jamison Williams, damn good receiver. Sam Laporta, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, drafted. Brian Branch, Pro Bowl. No All-Pro, I don't think, for Brian. I think he got snubbed that year in 24. Drafted. Jahmyr Gibbs, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, drafted. Kirby Joseph, All-Pro, no Pro Bowl, drafted. Jack Campbell, All-Pro, Pro Bowl, drafted. Jack Fox, top 5 punter in the league. I don't know if he got an All-Pro, but I think he got a Pro Bowl. Terrion Arnold hasn't proven himself just yet. Tyleik Williams was one of the better tackles last year, especially one of the better rookie tackles. And we went through this. Mason Graham versus Tyleik Williams. Who was the other guy that was taken early? Kenneth Grant. And there was a couple others. Tyleik Williams was as good or better than all of them last year. Rock Ya-Sin, proven commodity. DJ Wan, proven commodity. Let's keep going down the drafted list. Tate Ratledge had a good season last year in a very shitty system. I'm not going to blame his entire rookie season on him. There was way too much going on behind the scenes that made his life miserable. Isaac Tesla, I think he proved last year that he can be a damn good third wide receiver on any team. Let's keep going. Where's our drafted guys? Levi Onwuzurike, when he was healthy in 2024, was playing as a top 10 defensive tackle in the league. Top 10 in his first year, finally playing an entire season, battling from back injuries. So I'm pretty solid with what Brad has done, because you can't go around the league and say this about a lot of teams. Christian Mahogany, a 5th or 6th round pick, has played a lot of snaps for the Lions already, and when he's healthy, he's actually playing pretty well. Doesn't mean that we don't want an upgrade, but he's playing pretty well comparatively to other players in the league that were drafted way earlier. He's done his job. Like, he's done a good job for where he was drafted. Tom Kennedy has proven himself to be one of the better special teamers in the league, and he's never made a roster. He's just hanging out on our practice squad all the time. Miles Frazier, another 5th or 6th round pick, I can't remember which, who ended up putting in some snaps last year that when he was healthy, he was playing pretty well. He still has a long way to go, but there's so much upside to that guy, it's not even funny. But I can't forget to put out my weekly PSA that just remember, all players in the draft are developmental projects. Every player after the 2nd round are big developmental projects. It doesn't matter if it's a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, or 7th. Every single one of those players are big-time developmental projects. Let's keep going. I'm missing some names. Maybe not. We have 69 on the roster right now. And out of this, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, Sionavaki, one of the better special teamers. 18, missing a couple. We're sitting right around 18 or 19 core players on this team that would be starters on any other team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost a full boat. You have 25 starters on a team, 22 or 11 offense, 11 defense, 3 special teams. So out of 25 players, the Lions have at least 18, if not 20 of those spots locked up for starters. And what have those starters have done for us? Those starters have had a top 5 offense for like the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
We flirted with a top 5 defense last year and the year before. We finished extremely strong when we had 21 guys on injured reserve. So if our guys stay healthy, we could have won 2 Super Bowls probably by now.
Yeah.
If our guys stay healthy. And that's the game. Like the teams that win, they stay healthy. We have not stayed healthy. And no, it's not because we draft injured players. That's not the case at all. These injuries happen after the fact, not when they're coming into the Lions. So enough with all of that. We know who you listen to, and that dude doesn't know a damn thing about football. I'll tell you that right now. He doesn't know a damn thing. He's just been wrong every year, every pick, every free agency. It's all been wrong. So what do you do when you're wrong? You double, triple, quadruple down and keep pushing the same narrative, because toxic media taking advantage, raping your brain, of toxicity, it pushes clicks. I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to push information, the right information. So we were getting into this. We were talking about the draft matrix and what players were left before we had a sidebar. Next time we won't let that happen. But the point is where do the Lions need to be in the 2nd round to get a player that can help this team out? And yeah, if we need 2 picks in the second round, great. I don't know how we're going to get another second round pick unless we trade a future second or a future third with a 4th and a 5th. Like that's possible. But let's get back to this because this will be the last probably subject of the day because we've got to be back here like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to run soon too.
The point that I was trying to get to here is if the Lions really want to move up to get a player that can help them in this draft, then you have to look at what's on the board and what's going to help you. Now, I've identified edge is an important position if you're looking at future, but I don't see a future anything left on the board. What I see is a tier 2 player that could be a pretty good starter, right? And a rotational player. That's what I see. After David Bailey and Arvell Reese left the room, there was nothing left, period. Keldrick Falk is going to be a run stuffer. We'll see how well his game progresses. If I go to the grading scale in the glossary here and we go to edge, they don't even grade guys in a 6'4 or 6'3 because they're that bad. Like there's no way to even grade them. So 6'5 to 6'6, you're a low-end starter. Well, where are all these guys? 6'5 to 6'6. Low-end starter. Now, why do I give this some validity with Sports Info Solutions? Because we literally just watched this board go down in order of the way they ranked it. Last night, every player that was taken went almost perfectly in order of the way they ranked it. That means something. They know what they're doing. And by the way, Sports Info Solutions has contracts with every NFL team. They get almost all of their information through Sports Info Solutions and other places. Like PFF has a business-to-business analytics department too that sends information that we can't see to NFL teams. But Sports Info Solutions, that is what they do. And so having access to these things and utilizing their tools should make you a lot smarter immediately. So low-end starter at 6'5 to 6'6. So let's go to a different position. Let's go back to the glossary. Let's look at safety. Well, they don't rank 6'5 to 6'6 for safety because there's a big drop-off. You have a high-end starter, 3-down starter from 7 to 9. Those are extremely rare. You have a solid starter from 6'7 to 6'9. You don't have anybody ranked at 6'5 to 6'6. Well, our safety is a 6'7. He's the last solid starter left on all 3 downs. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren.
Mm-hmm.
So he would be my number 1 player based on how he's ranked, where he's ranked. Let's go look at Colton Hood. Corners. 6'5 to 6'6 is a role-playing starter, 3 downs or inside-out flexibility. 6'4 and up is another role-playing starter, lacks inside-out flexibility. Well, where is he ranked? 6'7". Well, at 6'7", what are we getting? A solid starter on all 3 downs. So he ranks right up there with Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. And behind him is Terrell. Underneath that is McCoy. McCoy didn't make the threshold simply because I think of his knee. But right now they're having McCoy in as a role-playing starter. Now, he could be a draft day steal. Like, this is where a Brad value pick usually happens. If he slips to the middle of the second, I hate to say it, but he's going to be a Detroit Lion. And I don't want to see it happen. All right, how about linebacker? Where are the linebackers ranked? Well, C.J. Allen's a middle linebacker, so we'll start there. 6'5 to 6'6 is a low-end starter, and 6'7 and up is a solid starter on all 3 downs. C.J. Allen is a 6'7. So he slides in as a solid starter on all 3 downs as a Mike linebacker. Do the Lions need a Mike linebacker? Well, they have Malcolm Rodriguez, and they have Jack Campbell, and they also have Damone Clark. So the answer would be no. Now, if they felt that Allen could push to the outside and play the will position, then maybe. But I haven't seen that show up on tape yet, and neither has anybody else. So then Anthony Hill, the player that everyone keeps clamoring for, he's a 6'7". He's a solid starter on all 3 downs. He's a 6'6", which puts him as a low-end starter. So not only is he a low-end starter, but when you watch his film, he has a lot of things wrong with his game. It's like he has something wrong with every part of his game. It's not just one big deficiency. There's a lot of little things that, yeah, they could get cleaned up. You can't replace his speed. Like the guy has got legit 4.44 speed. I believe it's 4.44. It could be 4.42 or 4.45. But he has legit speed. The problem is he gets mixed up in the trash, and his coverage ability, it falls apart at times. So I think he's a player that you could develop. But if you're thinking that you need a will linebacker right now to come in and play a lot of downs and to secure that side, what Alex Anzalone left, there's not that player in this draft. And then if you push all the way down to Rodriguez, if they got the board right, he's even worse as a low-end starter. Right? But is he a will linebacker? Is he a will linebacker? He's listed as a will linebacker. Is Hill a will linebacker? He's a middle linebacker. Is Allen a will linebacker? He's a middle linebacker. Golday, will linebacker. Lewis, will linebacker. Trotter, Mike linebacker. And Lawson, Mike linebacker. Now, I do like Lawson, but he's a Mike linebacker. So if you're looking at anybody, it's Rodriguez. It's not Hill. It's not Allen. It's Rodriguez. So based on this board, we'll start with linebacker. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 spots that, if the board's right, 15 spots would put Jacob Rodriguez at like 48. Do the Lions need to move up 2 or 3 spots if you're thinking that Jacob Rodriguez is the play?
I think you just stick and pick if that's the case.
If Rodriguez is the pick?
Yeah, if he falls anywhere near 50, there might be someone else that might be a better player that slips, or they might all be gone. I mean, they might seriously just go right off this list. But you got to remember, a few teams are going to need wide receiver. You don't necessarily need wide receiver or a tight end or, some of these other offensive line positions, but some of those are going to go. Some of these guys that are in the 6'5s, Max Clare, you have some other wide receivers, you have a running back, Coleman. So since right at the end of the first round, you had Jeremiah Love's running partner go at 32 to the Seahawks, you might see a little run on running backs here in the beginning of the second round. And some teams may value position more than we do, because I could definitely see Washington from Arkansas. I could see him push up into the second round. So maybe somebody like that gets taken ahead of some of these guys. Washington from Arkansas, the running back, the one that we thought was really good down at the draft or at the combine.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm like, who? Like, yeah, I don't have running backs up here. Okay, so
I'm just saying the other teams could take some positions we're not thinking of.
Yeah, but that's not how I would do the board. I would do the board based on the positions that you have of need. So if you're a GM and you have your vertical and your horizontal set, that's exactly what you're looking at. Yep. So you align them vertically, which is these are the 6 or 7 positions that we're looking at in this round, and then you look at them horizontally. How are they ranked? Horizontally is 6'7", 6'6", 6'5". Vertically is position, just the exact way that it's laid out here. Yep. Coleman, if I just added running back, which you probably can't see here, let me throw that back in. Coleman would be the next running back off the board at 6'5". Washington is all the way down at 6'2". Now, I liked Washington because of his speed, but the problem is there's more to the game than just speed, right? And I think if you're looking at adding a running back, Washington might be available end of the third and into the fourth. He could be available at 118. Like for Jadarian Price to go at 32 to the Seahawks, I don't see another team that is really pressing to go get a running back. You have a ton of running backs in this class late, And teams aren't going to invest a bunch of draft capital into a running back just to get one early, my opinion. I do like Washington. I think Singleton is a little bit better, but I do like Washington because of his speed. But see, Washington was never known before he ran a 4.33. That's the only reason why he jumped up in front of everybody's phones, because he ran a 4.33. But before that, nobody was talking about Washington. That should tell you something, right? That his game is not as polished as what what you hope it is. It doesn't mean that a team doesn't value him, because a team may have valued the speed factor and they'll find a way to use him, whether it's special teams or, in some sub packages on offense where you can find a way to use his speed to your advantage. So let's go through the exercise. I know that you got to run. I got to run here soon too, but let's go through at least one or two exercises and figure out what the Lions need to do, because that was the whole point of doing this.
Yeah. I'm going to say if they really value one of these guys in the darker orange, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these guys that are up in the 6, 7 range. So there's 6 that I think would interest the Lions. You got McDonald, Hunter, Allen, Hood, Terrell, and McNeil Warren. So just those 5 guys. If you want to get up to get one of those guys, you're going to have to move at least 13 spots, because you're picking 18th in this round. So there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of them. So you're going to have to get up to at least number 6 from 18. So that's 12 spots you're going to have to move up. At least 12 spots just to get one of these guys and guarantee that one of your guys hits the board.
Okay. So like the exercise was, we have 1, 2, 3. Oops. I just took that off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions on the board. We don't have quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tackle, guard, or center. We have all the defensive positions and tight end on the board. Now, to your point, if these are the teams, or these are the players that you're looking at, this is how I would do it. I would whittle my board down and say, okay, these are the players that I'm targeting. And I want either EMW. I don't want Allen because he's a Mike linebacker. Rodriguez would make sense, but I probably don't need to move a whole lot for him. Do I really need an edge position? Do I need to strengthen that position? I need an edge setter. Out of all those players, the edge setter would be Yakis or Parker. I think those are the only two that make sense to me. I think Romello Height might make a little sense, but Curry would also make sense, and he's way down the list. But let's just say that that's the player that you have higher graded than what SIS does, okay? Mm-hmm. So EMW, we'll go there. We'll go Rodriguez. We'll go Parker. We'll go Yakis. And we'll go Curry. And we'll go Sutton. Definitely interior defensive line. I mean, the Lions definitely want to get better there. And then Christian Miller, I think, is more interesting than both of those guys, to be honest with you. Hood definitely is on the block. And then Claire, tight end, makes a ton of sense. I don't think Diego Pons is anywhere close. And I think that Jelon Kilgore is undervalued, and the Lions don't have a third-round pick. So if they're not trying to move up into the third round, they could reach for Kilgore. I really like Kilgore. But that's just me. Right? But he's a 6'4" right now, so I'm going to leave him off the board for a moment. Nah, what the hell? We'll throw him in there. So just out of those players, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 players that you have the potential to target in the second round. You're picking at 50. The second round starts at pick 33. So that puts you back to 44. So if the Lions right now were to move up to pick 44 with the Jets, they are guaranteed to land one of those 11.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. So out of those 11, McNeil Warren helps your team. Rodriguez helps your team. McDonald and Miller help your team. Hood definitely helps your team. Claire would be amazing in the tight end room. And then you have a couple of edge players. So the Lions are in a great position here in the second round. They're in a great position without having to move up. Now, how does the board flip? Well, let's now add in the running backs, the wide receivers, the tackles, the guards, the centers. Now, how does it change? Where does that put pick 50 now? And I apologize, it's tough to read, but, well, how did it change? It didn't. Why didn't it?
Because there's no offensive players that are
rated available.
Highly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have
just the 2 wide receivers.
You have Tiernan, Dunker, and Hatchett all ranked the same at 6'5" in the offensive line group. You have Coleman, the running back. So there's 4 players that are added in the same line as Claire, Miller, and Rodriguez. So there's 4 players that were added. And then you said wide receiver. So you have Boston, Brassel, Branch I'm not really worried about. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players. You probably have to throw Lane in there. 8 players that you just added to that list.
Mm-hmm.
That's 19. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, that's 19. 19 players that have the potential to go if this board stays true to what it has been and nobody reaches down into the 6'4s, which someone probably will. I mean, we just saw it with Keelan Rutledge. So 19 positions would put you at pick 52. So if you were guaranteed to get one of those 19 players, yeah, we don't need a receiver. You know, we don't need a receiver. I'm surprised Emmanuel Pregnan is still on the board. And then you got Jake Slaughter back there, which I don't think we're going to take a center at this point. And I could probably throw Kilgore for a deep reach in there. So now do you move back, right? I think if the board starts to fall and the Lions don't grab an edge and you see Parker and Howell and Yakis and Thomas, all those guys go, and the board's falling and you still end up with an opportunity to get Miller or Claire. Because Brad said something last night that stuck with me. And it was to the point, like, if we feel like we have enough players or maybe we don't have enough players that maybe we need to do something, I think the Lions feel like they're ready to go. Like, they don't need much out of this draft. So I think that changes the game completely for what they're going to do. So either right now, I see if the Lions move up 4 to 6 spots, they're going to get a very good player. To get Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, I think you got to move all the way up to 30, 34, 33, or 35. I think you have to evaluate what teams are the most needy for safety. Right?
Yep.
Anyone else in the chat? You got to run?
Yeah, I do have to get going. I'm a little late for something.
All right. We'll catch you later on tonight.
All right, so my last 30 seconds of the day is Attila the Hun. You had the best comment of the day. He said, we don't need to worry about edge rusher. The Detroit Lions are trading for Max Crosby, don't you know?
Oh,
so,
that's right.
Yeah, so that is my favorite comment of the whole day. I'll see you guys tonight. I'm going to go take a nap and get some stuff done.
He's late for his nap. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Or no, we'll see you later.
Yeah, see ya.
All right. With his mask. With his mask. Oh, my camera's not. There it goes. All right. So who are the most needy teams for safety? So if you guys really want Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, then how do we get there? Right? How do we get there? That's the question. Who are the most needy teams for safety? Let me pull up my work here. I still want to do one more exercise. We could have done this stuff tonight, but it seems like once we get rolling, it just... And tonight I want to do a lot more, or a lot less of NFL Network. You know, last year I did all the analysis about the players, when the players are... I have all the analysis for all the players. So I'll give you guys that. You just tell me if you want to go back and forth or whatever. But last year I gave you my analysis, and then I stayed in the zone that way of being able to pick the players, and it just didn't work. It's different this year for some reason. I don't know why. It's my fault. Maybe I screwed it all up yesterday, but normally I would do all the analysis and then be able to give you my next pick. And it just didn't go that way last night. Is what it is. Running on fumes over here. Okay. Go back to the first round. Last night we expected the Vikings were going to go after a safety, so I think they got their answer, and this was a great smokescreen that Harrison Smith was coming back, and I don't know if that answer has been given publicly, but I would assume that they must know from Harrison Smith that he's coming back this year. Because the last I read 2 days ago that the Vikings did not get an answer yet. So to me, yeah, Tracy said he's taking a nap for tonight. Am I taking a nap? Probably not. I need to go cut my lawn. I don't know if it's raining yet. Wall Street Wizard. I see you might have put a question in there, but I don't see it. Put your questions in caps for me, please. I'll see it easier that way. So anyway, if we go back and look at the way that the draft fell at the Vikings, they took Caleb Banks, which that's a damn good pick. But the safeties kind of got left out of the conversation after Carnell Tate and then Dylan Thieneman Dylan Thieneman were the only two taken last night by the Bears, which, again, I expected that the Bears were going to take a safety if they actually had an opportunity to get one, and they did. I would have thought maybe Emmanuel McNeil-Warren would have been a better choice, but Thieneman he's fun. So who are the most needy teams now for a safety after round one? Here's what my analysis tells me. Vikings are still a big need. They list safety as Minnesota's biggest day two need after the Vikings took Caleb Banks in round one, and Harrison Smith is still currently on the team's plans or in the team's plans, but they don't have an answer yet. So it's still a point of weakness for them. Philadelphia Eagles also listed as a top day two need for Philadelphia. I think I'll stick with that, but edge rusher and safety are probably the two spots that stand out the most for me for them. Then you have the Commanders. Safety might be the biggest need for them. So where do these three teams stack in front of us? Minnesota currently picks at 49, just ahead of us. So if Emmanuel McNeil-Warren lasted that long, he's probably gone there. Philadelphia. Ooh, they don't pick for a while. Hold on. They pick at 54. I doubt that EMW is going to be on the board till 49 or 48 or 47. But if that were the case, Philly's probably going to want to jump up, and they have the draft capital to do it. They have pick 68 and they have pick 98. Miami Dolphins. They took Caden Proctor and Chris Johnson. I would say that safety is probably a key move. They traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? I would say that that's probably an urgent need for Miami. Miami picks at 43. So right now, 43 is the target. So this is how I do things over here. This is what I do behind the scenes. I don't normally do this stuff live. But when I'm looking at trying to fill out a board, like this year was trash. I'm just going to write this year off as a loss. But next year we'll get back in the hunt, and I'll be able to submit my mock. Thankfully, I didn't submit my mock this year. That would have been foolish. So the target is 43. Lions got to move up to get ahead of Miami if Miami's going to take the safety. And then you have the Panthers. I would say that secondary is probably a big play for them. Let me go back. I can't remember who they took. Oh, that's right. They took Monroe Freeling. Yeah, secondary is going to still be a big play for them. And then even one more is probably the Steelers. So let me give you the fast version of this. Vikings, Eagles, Commanders, Dolphins, Panthers, and I think the Steelers are just on the outside of that group. So who's in front of us? Steelers, Panthers, Dolphins. Let me put this in front of me. It'd be a little easier. So Steelers are behind us at 53. Philly's behind us at 54. Miami's ahead of us at 43. And beyond that, I don't know that there's anyone really pressing for a safety. You guys agree or disagree? Do you think that there's anybody else out there that really needs a safety? Gaviscon, who's your guy? Joe, a Tiger. Put a few players up in there. Pregnon, Basantis, and Boston. Are those for the Lions? I really want Kilgore. And so if they don't value Emmanuel McNeil-Warren as high as they think Kilgore's value should be, which I think his value should be pretty high. I mean, he plays inside out, front to back. The guy can play anywhere, and he is a good rec there as Emanawari. He's very versatile, very, very versatile. So the question was, how do we get EMW? And I think the cleanest answer. I think the cleanest answer is you have to move up to 42 or higher. So the question is, what is it going to take? All right, so we're going to move to 42 with the Saints. And that would require the Lions to trade one sec. Let's get some music up in here. Kill the dead noise. All right, so 42 is worth 142. 50 is worth 115. We have 27 points to make up at a minimum, and that could be 118, which is 25 points. It could be 128, which is 20 points. Or it could be a combination of 128 and 157, which I think would be way too rich. Let me go to recent trade history. I'll share this with you guys. This is all the research that I did prior. All right. This is my spreadsheet here of all my previous draft trades and the history. Things that I just track because I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd with the numbers. All right. So previous trade history, 48 to 37. We're trying to go 50 to 42. So we're looking for an 8-spot jump. And we might get close here with 52 to 39. That might be as clean of a jump as I've seen. So 52 to 39 right here. That cost 52 and 155. And 52 was 109 and 155 was 11. So that's 120. And they moved up to 39, which was 153. I don't know how they pulled that off. No, there had to be more in there. Oh, there was a future second. Look at that. Wow. A 2025 second round pick. Got to be kidding me. So you can add another 115 into that. That would have been 235 to 153. That's a monster move. I don't see Brad trading a future second, but that's one example. All right, 50 to 40. That's pretty clean. We're looking at going 50 to 42. That was for Cooper DeJean right here. And that was a multi-pick trade. But see, the problem is we don't have 2 seconds in this scenario unless you give up a future second. But in this scenario, I love this trade. I really do. This is one of my favorite trades for the Lions. So we have pick 50. And if we want to get to 42, and if we were to trade pick 50, I got to figure out how to write this stuff on screen again. If we trade pick 50, 2027 second, which is what the Eagles traded, right? The selling team. They traded 50, 53, which was that year's 53, and then 161. So if we traded 157 this year, all of that combined, and we'll just say that the 2027 second is going to be equal to where we are right now, which God willing it's not, right? So that would be 115 and 115. So that would be 230. Plus 157, so that would be 240 total. 10 points. And then if we trade that with the Saints, they're at 142. We would get 42. And in this scenario, we would get back a third and then a fifth. In the Saints, third. Let's see if they've got a third. Hopefully they do. They do. They have 73. And that's it. They have 1/3. Let's see what they've got in the fourth. Whoops. Whoops. Here's the value chart that I'm working on here. All right. Hopefully we're making some sense now. All right, these are the trades. This is the chart. All right, so on this chart, I'm trying to get the Saints. Here's the Saints picks. They have 73, so we want to get to 42. So we're going to go 42 plus 73. And in this scenario, if I flip back, it was the second, a third, and then a fifth. I don't think we really want a fifth. So maybe we forego the fifth. And we just trade the future second, 50, and our fifth, and we get their 73. That might be the better deal for New Orleans. But 42 is worth 142. And the third is worth 65. Which that'll equal 207. So we give up 240. We get back 207, but now we're picking at 17, which is done, and then at 42, and then at 73, and we give up next year's second round pick. I would love that. I would love that. So let's roll with that. We're going to pick at 42 and 73 with a trade with the Saints. I think that would be an insane move for us this year. I would give up the future second in a heartbeat. Let's see how it works. This is going to be the last exercise of the day, then I'm out of here. Oh, look at that. We got a mock draft simulator. Man, what a wild draft last night was. Like, just weird. I really wish these things could be bigger. All right, so let's make the trade. New Orleans, 42 for 50. And a future second, and we get 73. Ooh, it likes it. Look at that. See, my work works. It likes it. Mikey, it likes it. Remember that commercial? And it took it. Let's see what happens. At pick 42, the goal was to get Emma. Oh, that didn't work. He goes at 36. And the Raiders are definitely not on my list. Let's reset this. Let me make sure that I said it right. I want to put all 7 in here, but I'm not doing all 7. We're going to go care for positional value right in the middle. We're going to do draft for needs right in the middle and random lists less because I don't want it to be wild. We're going to enter the draft. We're going to make our trade. We're going to try it again. We're going to go 42 for 50 and 73 and a future second. Oh, this time they neglected to take it. I'm going to force it. And let's see. It happened again. He goes to pick 36. Man, I guess that does make a lot of sense. They do need a safety. Let me flip to their... Let's go to their board. Oh, what happened here? There we go. What's going on with this thing? There it is. We'll go to their depth chart real quick. Okay. So they have Jeremy Chin and Isaiah Palamau. Or Palamau. I don't know who either. I know who Jeremy Chin is, but I don't know who Palamau is. Let's look this guy up on PFF just for fun. He plays offense and defense. Well, he's not very good, huh? It's not going all the way down for some reason. All right, so I can see why they need a safety there. Uh-oh. Lost connection on the our lads. Where did it go? Their site's terrible some days. All right. Well, let's just say now we got to move to 36. I'm not even going to screw with it. We're just going to move to 36. So the question is, what is it going to cost? There we go. There's their 2-digit code. Okay, so they have 36, and then they also have 67. They're probably not going to give that up. Maybe we could do 102. 36 and 102 for 50. Man, that's a bit rich. 36 and 102 for 50 in a future second. All right, 36 and 102. We're looking at 200 points. And then 50, we're looking at 230. So Lions giving up 230. We're getting back 200. So we're going to get 36 and 102 in this trade. Watch it change. We don't get the pick. There we go. Now we get them. I'm going to let the rest fall. So if we go all the way to 102, like it's better than what we had before. We had 118. We still don't get your edge if you really want an edge. But I mean, Lawson is also a middle linebacker, but Caleb Proctor, I really like this dude, and he has the ability to be that outside presence. He's not, I think he's more of a 3-4 end, but I think that if you put him off on the end, I think he'd be just fine. I think he would be just fine. I would take Caleb Proctor all day. And then, yeah, I see Tyreek Sapp. Yeah, he's so unrefined. He's so unrefined. And that is a little concerning. Oh, shit, I got a phone call. Hold on. You guys got to hang with me for just a few minutes. I'll be back. I got to take this call from my doctor. Be right back. Okay, go to the text. Look for the link. There it is. Good. How are you? Oh, yeah. Yeah, thank you. Can't hear. No, it's doing great. It took a couple of days, but yeah, it's doing great. So the few things that I've been doing in the past is I would do the knees twice a year with gel injections. Okay, and so that was the knees with hyaluronic, like every 6 months. Yep, but they do. But the bigger question and issue that I have is I've got like these eggs behind both of my knees. Okay. And I think that could be the basis of a lot of my pain. And then where my knees really hurt is really not the knee. I mean, it is the knee. I mean, it hurts to touch. Like just touching the knee hurts on both sides. But I've also got like these big, like bony growths on top of my knees, which are clearly some form of arthritis, right? Or something. And then the patellar tendon where it attaches there, like on the front of the shin, I guess. Does that make sense? That's where I have the most pain. And so what do we do about that? Well, it needs to be verified, but I have 2 eggs in the back of my knees, yes. No. If there's someone that you know that you could refer me to, I'd talk to him. Yep. I just had a full PT and PET scan and CT, and I had X-rays last year. Yeah, at OAM in Muskegon. We'll just go somewhere local. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can get X-rays again. It doesn't, I'm sure we need new ones anyway. I won't. Yeah, that's who did my surgery. I won't be going back there again. Yeah, and they screwed me up because they never brought me back in to verify anything, and my screws were loose in my back, and so. Yeah, that's fine. Which body part? The knees? The knees are typically a 9 when I kneel on them. Like, or even a 10. I really can't kneel down on my knees. Like if I wanted to pray on my knees, I couldn't do it. Even like I can't kneel on the carpet. You know what I mean? I can't get down to find a remote under the couch. To give you a real life example, walking, it doesn't hurt as often unless I'm walking downstairs or upstairs. And then that's where I have instability. Like I have to hold on to something. I have to tiptoe around because that's when I have compression, you know, going up and down the steps, that's when I get the most pain. And that's usually a 7 all day, every day. And then if I have to kneel down, which I try not to ever do, it'll go all the way up to a 9 or a 10, which I know 10 is crazy, but it literally hurts that bad. I can't get on my knees. And then I had the weirdest thing, by the way, before I forget. After the injection, I started having a full-on electric shooting pain that I've never had before underneath my left butt cheek on the back of the hamstring, and it ran down towards the inner part of my thigh down to the middle of my calf. And I've never had that before. I've never felt that before. It lasted for 2 days. And I mean, it was like every 5 minutes, it was just doing it. And then I took some pictures. I had like this cross on my calf. I've never seen that before. And it went away after a day, but I took some pictures. I don't know if it's, I don't know if the injection, I don't even know if there's nerves around there, but I don't know if it added inflammation that pressed on something. Or if it was just totally coincidental, which is most likely, right? So I don't know why or how that happened, but it was weird. Right where the hip, right where the, kind of right where the back of the leg, like where the sciatica you think would be. I think when I looked it up on a nerve chart, it was, hold on. Yeah, so I mean, I have constant pain in my calves, constant, and blood pooling in my legs, and yeah, constant. It's every day. Yeah. So when I looked at this, it looked like, so on the back of the inside of the thigh, you have that big, long sciatica nerve branch. And then where it branched down, to me, it looked like which I know this one doesn't, I don't think it carries any, I don't think it carries any nerve communication or something, but like the sural nerve. That would have been the one that's what hurts the most in the middle of my calf is a sural nerve. Okay. No, I was just thinking if there was inflammation from the articular when you put the meds in, like does it cause inflammation around that hip joint that could touch on that nerve branch, and then obviously the nerve branch all communicates. So it's coincidental, but I was just curious. But that's where I have a ton of pain is in the middle of my calves on both sides. Like if you touch it, it's extremely painful, and it's been that way for 2-3 years. Just touching it. So I don't know if it is the back, then obviously we got to figure out a way to inject that next, get that calmed down. Yeah, I just got to get it scheduled with Megan. And well, obviously you, but to have somebody with me. Because every time I've had that injection, I go completely like paralyzed. So I don't know why. Why? Okay. I gotcha. Okay, so with that, I got to see somebody for the patellar tendon and the cysts.
Yeah, I'll send the referral to Trinity Orthopedics. I'll order an X-ray.
Okay. And then as far as the next thing, my neck. I think that I should do my neck first and then the back, because the neck is causing me a lot of dizziness, a lot of discomfort, a lot of. Nope, like the actual neck, the cervical spine. Yeah, because I think that with all the dizziness and the craziness that I have going on there, I need to get it calmed down, because if it's causing my dizziness, then we'll find out. Like if I move I do this all the time, like I'll stretch like this, and then all of a sudden my eyes like want to roll back in my head, and it's after every time that I roll my neck, it usually will do it. So that tells me something is getting pinched. And then there's sometimes if I just push my head back like this, push my neck up, it feels like my neck is gonna break, like it's that painful. And it could just be nerves, but I have a lot of recent MRIs. Maybe you can look at it or have someone do a second opinion on it. You ordered one last year, I believe.